Good evening and welcome back to Europe. We are at Zandvort for week 8 on rounds 29, 30, 31 and 32 of the BSR MX5 Pro Series 2020. My name is Dan Blake. I'll be one of your commentators for this evening's meeting. Alongside me as well is Edwin May. We also have Graham Sessford, who is our producer for tonight. Last week at Sonoma saw 2 victories for James Sharp in race 2 and race 4. Dan Hunt taking the win in race 1 as well. And what we saw obviously in that one as well, James Sharp getting 2 wins, putting him onto 3 for the season. Daniel Hunt's win as well, his 6th of the season, puts him level on wins with the driver of Jamie Ayres, who currently leads the championship. We'll go to the championships with Ed May very shortly. And Ed, some very close racing again last week at Sonoma. What do you think we're be in store for tonight at Zandvort?
Well, at the Circuit Park Zandvort, we're going to be in for a very, very entertaining battle. There's a very, very technical track, plenty of corners to try and navigate. You're going to be seeing plenty of moves being made into the tight first corner. You've got to be very, very committed on the brakes. You've got last of late breakers into this corner, and you should be able to defend your positions. There's going to be plenty of opportunistic moves down the inside, and hopefully we'll be able to have some good, clean racing that we had the previous round at Sonoma.
Exactly, that's what we're looking for. Back into Europe as well after some races away in America. I think very shortly Ed's going to bring you the championship positions, and I'm going to leave qualifying in his very capable hands. But I will be back with you for race 1, and I'll try to get back for some of my qualifying as well, because I think we're going to be in for another very enthralling and exciting session. Ed, what are you looking forward to in the qualifying session?
Well, this qualifying session, it's going to be very, very close. Just from the times put out in practice, we've seen a very, very close fight between Stephen McAleer and Daniel Hunt. The gap has been separated by less than 1/10 of a second at between these top 2 positions. It's going to be very interesting to see who's going to be able to come out top in that battle. Just down the order, we've got James McRitchie, who's going to be a contender as well for that first place position, and Dave Chapman, a newcomer, I believe, to this series, is definitely one to be keeping your eyes on.
It's very good when we get these new drivers that come in and they're competitive straight away. Dave Chapman, obviously quite an experienced driver in the Mazda MX5, and it's great to see how he compares to the likes of Hunt, Ayres, Davis, some of the faster drivers in the championship. And he's going to find it maybe when people join BSR, it's a little bit different to some racing they've been in previously. It's massive grids. Racecraft very important, and also awareness and space. And I think if Dave Chapman's able to grasp the sort of the concept and the way BSR racing goes, I think I'll be in for potentially a successful night tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And now we're going to run you through the championship standings. On the screen now, we should have the pro standings, so we can see that Jamie Ayres is currently leading the championship by over 100 points to his nearest rival, Kip Stevens. And we have James Sharp, Steve Hefford, Daniel Hunt, Adrian Henry, and Ben Sharp, Vincenzo Miko, Pete Van Gool, and Chris Knox in the top 10. Now we're going to the AM Championship, which is currently being led. It's very, very close at the top here. The top 4, all within 50 points. In fact, 27 points separate the top 4. Andy Maxwell is leading the charge, followed quickly by Craig Jones and Kellyman, 2nd and 3rd. We have Mick Barry, Roger Morton, Steve Cooley, Graham Slack, Alan Toon, Liam Payne, and Michael Wortman in the top 10. And now finally we have the team championships. Pros currently having got Momo, who are 1,000 points clear of Year 1 Racing, or then 200 points clear of Safeguard by Result. Then Result Clothing and Ronin Simsport Academy separated by just about 50 points. And we have Team Motomek Knock Hill, Work Guard by Result Clothing, Team Optical, Double Clutch Racing, and Frantic Racing rounding out the top 10 of the team championships. Now, as we can see, the time is starting to come in for qualifying. Currently on provisional pole is Steve Hefford, who's put in a very, very quick time of a 56.2. We should be seeing some of the guys managing just to go a little bit quicker. It's early days in qualifying. You can see on the screens now some of the guys starting to get a little bit of a draft on, trying to slip in between each other's slipstreams here, just trying to get the best track position possible to get quick lap times here. You can see Hefford for a lap now of this Circuit Park Zandvort. Just seeing how late he's going to be on the brakes and how committed he is. Just braking, as you can see that white line across the track, just trying to get on the brakes around about that mark, using that as a little braking marker, trying to get the car pitched in nicely, running out wide, getting on the throttle. You need to be very, very careful on the throttle in these MX5s. They don't have as much power as, say, a GT3 car, but the rear does like to step out on you if you try and push it like a little bit too much. So, using all of the track available and having to be very careful not to get any off tracks around here. If you run that a little bit wide, if you try and take too much of the inside outside curbs, it's not that hard to find yourself getting a 1x, which will invalidate your lap time here. And of course, if you have an invalidated lap time, all of the work pushing through is going to be for naught, and that can start to frustrate you a little bit. And as a result, some of the drivers who aren't able to get their lap times in right away might see them making more and more mistakes as the qualifying session develops, and they'll be a bit further down the order than their pace might suggest. So Steve Hefford's closing up a little bit on a back marker during his qualifying lap. He's going to be hoping not to be held up too much, and instead can use this back marker in front as a way to get a bit more top speed by getting into the slipstream. Long run here into this very, very tight chicane section. Want to take a decent out of the curbing here, slow in, trying to carry a lot more speed here, got on the power earlier. Shifting down, you can see him shift him up through the gears a little bit earlier just to prevent the wheel spin when he's getting onto throttle. Lower revs, meaning the car's a bit more stable under acceleration. Taking as much as the curve here, but he's getting held up a little bit here by the car in front. I'm not quite sure who that is. That's Dan Hunt by the looks of things, but yeah, you can just see he was held up a bit and has had to give up on that lap time here. Going to be coming into the pits now, and we see him back coming out again. We can see a lot of the guys there have only fueled up for a certain amount of laps, so if they're not able to improve, they might as well come into the pits, get refueled, and come out for another run here. As you see, Rizzo has put a time to go 11th fastest, just ahead of Mikey Key. But at the moment, we can see that Sharp, that is James Sharp, has managed to do a 55.9. So Sharp is currently on provisional pole for the moment. That was a very, very quick lap time, but not quite the amount of time, the pace we were seeing during qualifying. You can see now though that James Sharp definitely got a very handy tow from the result, the year one car up in front. I believe that might be Ben Sharp, I think, that Adrian Hendy, sorry, that he's managed to get a tow off of. James Sharp managed to play the qualifying game very, very smartly, and he's just got his car into the right position on track. And like I was mentioning earlier, if you're in the right position on track, you can be far off and away one of the quicker guys during this qualifying session. You can see now the year one car getting out of the way, not wanting to hold up James Sharp. You can be penalised, of course, if you have been deemed by the stewards to have blocked or impeded another driver during this qualifying session. So that's something to keep an eye out for, as we are now following Lewis Payne here. Currently in 26th position, one of the amateur drivers who's miles off the pace. These AM drivers are very quick in their own right, and we should be able to see this AM fight tighten up a lot more throughout this season. We're not quite halfway yet, and already the top four is still very, very close. So just trying to take a line, not taking just a little bit too little curb lane. You can see it's starting to impede his run just a little bit through here, but not as much as you would have thought. He's managed to make it up. He's got carrying a little bit of damage, as you can see on the front left of his car. That will be impeding his straight line speed, of course. These cars are quite susceptible to front end damage. Any extra drag is definitely a killer in these MX5 cars. You can see now what time is Lewis Payne going to be able to do is get in the slipstream of the car in front. You see as he crosses the line up here, he's not been able to set a time, so surely that must mean that sometime throughout this lap he's encountered enough track. So now it's going to be down to this lap. He's got a little bit left in qualifying. He's got about 4 minutes remaining in this qualifying session, so still plenty of time to set a quicker time now. As we see Craig Jones, who had a very, very very, very good performance at Sonoma. Has seen him get a little bit of points on his rivals. Is now currently 5th place in the AM category. He needs to be trying to close that gap to Maxwell, who's about 7/10 of a second quicker than him. So Jones is going to be wanting to get a bit of a charge on here. And he's not been able to make any improvement on his time or any time appear on the screen at all. So that was most likely either an outlap or a lap time that was invalidated due to off tracks that we've been seeing quite a few of here. But at the moment, at the top, we've still got Sharp from Chapman from Hunt, currently 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in the overall classifications here. Very, very close, as you can see on the side of the screen here. Really, the top 10 are all within a second, which is very, very good to see. We like seeing this in the BSR Championship. Always got good, very close driving. And at this stage, I think from the closeness between the times, any one of these top 6 even could be in contention for a win. It's going to be more about consistency and racecraft around this very, very technical and demanding Zandvort circuit.
Yeah, as you say, it's going to be interesting to see. We're looking at a driver now, Chris Knox, and he sent me a video of a rather unorthodox line into turn 1, and he said that we may see it tonight, so that'll be one to look out for. Certainly, I've been told by Graham Sessman in my ear that if he does do it, we will stay on board with him. It's quite spectacular, and it would be worth the watch alone just for that one. But Chris Knox currently in 6th place, and Dave Chapman's really impressing me at his first meeting in the championship, and he's put himself onto the front row provisionally.
Yeah, very, very good. We always, like we were saying earlier, we always love to see these guys come into the championship and show what they're made of. And David Chapman is certainly not disappointing. Will we be able to see maybe a first win in his first outing? That would be an amazing story to have, as we see Chris Knox running a little bit wide, maybe not getting an off track, but he's definitely pushing the limits of this MX5 car around this circuit. And we're going to be seeing now, is he going to try his unorthodox line into turn 1?
I don't think we'll be doing it during qualifying, but on that lap it was an off track. It didn't come through as a lap, so maybe that wheel on the grass was a little bit too much for Chris Knox as he cops an off track for it potentially. But as we say, James Sharp is currently on pole position with Dave Chapman 2nd, Daniel Hunt 3rd, and Steve Hefford 4th. Very uncharacteristically, championship leader Jamie Ayres though down in 9th place.
Yeah, it's definitely very, very curious. A lot of drivers, myself included, when we come to certain tracks, there's some drivers that do better at other tracks. I might be very similar to Jamie Ayres, where this circuit, Zandvort, is not one of my stronger circuits. I like the different sort of flowing of corners, and the elevation change does sort of impede my driving style a little bit. But you can see the drivers that definitely have not been impeded, James Sharp and Dave Chapman, Daniel Hunt, have definitely managed to capitalise on this and could make some points back on the championship leader.
Yeah, the 419 we're currently looking on screen, Michael Vortman, he is currently on pole position out of our AM drivers, but it's very close. There's about a 1/10.5 between himself and Charles Kellyman, who's 2nd in AM, and Andy Maxwell is 3rd in AM, not even half a tenth behind Kellyman. They are 14th, 15th, and 16th overall. Michael Vortman in some of the races has proven to be quite dominant in the AMs, but it looks like this week as well, the rest of the field have caught up to him, and it's very tight again at the top of the AMs.
Yeah, you can see Michael Vortman not being able to improve on his previous time. That's also down to the fact that he's kind of out on his own at the moment. He's not getting the draft of any cars in front, which means he's not able to improve on his time. He was about, well, it looks like things 2 seconds off of his previous best, which just shows how much the slipstream is worth around here. You see now Sharp's currently sitting in the pits. He believes he's done all he can do and all he's capable of in this qualifying session. It's now up to Chapman, Hunt, and Hefford, all cars behind him, to make up any positions. Also, another thing to mention is we see Maxwell going for a little bit of a drift, holding it very nicely. Imagine to stop the car from spinning around.
That'll be his final lap though, Ed, because the checkered flag is now out. We're on board. We're looking at Chris Knox trying to find the limits and then some. I think he's not quite doing his spectacular style, but if we do see it tonight, I'm saying it's worth the wait. I've seen a little preview, and the Fast and Furious stunt driver is bringing his stunt driver expertise to iRacing. That's all I'm going to say on that one. But Chris Knox is currently qualified 6th, one of his better qualifying positions of the season as well. So far, the meeting going very well for the Scotsman. But James Sharp on provisional pole position at the moment. As we say, the checkered flag has gone. Drivers who cross the line before the flag will get to finish the lap that they're on currently. So there may be some drivers that are still on laps. I see Daniel Hunt and Steve Hefferder looks like currently on laps, but the sectors, there's a green sector for Daniel Hunt with 2 yellow ones as well. So depending on how the rest of the lap goes for Daniel Hunt, he may be able to improve on 3rd place. He's just over a quarter of a second behind James Sharp, and he's about a 10th and a 3rd behind Dave Chapman in 2nd place. Daniel Hunt, though, another yellow sector. You can see on our timing screen there you got the name of the driver at the time, and underneath you've got the yellow and green. And if they do the fastest sectors of the qualifying session race, it will go purple. But Daniel Hunt looks like just coming now towards the end of the lap. He's about 5 seconds away, so he'll be going down the straight. And will Daniel Hunt be able to improve on his time? We'll see very shortly. It will be his final lap of the session. The driver who's taken 6 wins in the championship so far crosses the line. And it's an improvement, 156.024. Daniel Hunt puts himself onto the front row. So a very good lap there from Daniel Hunt, puts him on the front row. Chris Knox crosses the line now. Is it an improvement for Chris Knox? It's Peter Van Gool's 1 second. Peter Van Gool 17 thousandths behind James Sharp. He goes to Chris Knox, does his little party trick there as well. Very well done to Chris Knox for the party trick. I sort of missed that because I was the excitement of Peter Van Gool taking 2nd place, but I do believe we have just seen Chris Knox bring out his party trick going into turn 1.
Yeah, I believe you can get an outboard shot of that if possible. That would be very good to see. He seemed to have an almost reverse entry onto this, but I don't think we're able to do that during this qualifying. We're going to see now on our screen. See Chris Knox. That was him getting an off track just a bit earlier on his on this lap, which is why he was not able to make an improvement.
Here we go.
We see now. Here we go.
Oh, that is beautiful. That is truly breathtaking, and that is what you get when you're a Fast and Furious stunt driver on iRacing.
Yeah, he's hopefully he's going to be in this race. Definitely fast. Maybe not so furious as not to cause any accidents, but he's going to pretty hoping to be very, very quick in this current race, starting at 6th place on the grid at the moment. As we're seeing now, the cars lining up on the grid, and Dan's going to run us through the qualifying order.
Yeah, if someone's watching that, please clip and send that to Bush. Thank you very much. So James Sharp is on pole position with Peter Van Gool in 2nd place that late lap. Daniel Hunt is 3rd with Dave Chapman, a debutant, in 4th. Steve Hefford 5th and Chris Knox himself in 6th place. Matthew Emery 7th, Kip Stevens 8th. Jamie Ayres is 9th and David Ward rounds out your top 10. Cesare Rizzo is 11th and Mikey Key in 12th place. 13th, Adrian Hendy, Michael Vortman 14th with Top Am. Then it's Charles Kellyman, Andy Maxwell, Steve Hansford, Ralph Cullinan, Martin Sampson and Joe McDonough rounding out your top 20. Jason Wiley, 21st. Phil Reagan is in 22nd. With Craig Jones and Mick Barry, 23rd and 24th. 25th place on the grid is Steve Cooley, Lewis Payne, 26th. With Graham Slacker and Roger Morton on row 14. Vincenzo Amico, James Ritchie, Stephen McAleer, Ben Sharp, Nathan Davis, Stuart McAleer, Rob Graham, Ryan Main. And I think there's a couple other drivers as well who haven't set times due to penalties there. Aaron McGregor, Ryan Moles, and Alan Toon. So the drivers on the grid now for round 29, the races, of course, as per normal, will be a 15-minute duration. And I'll put you on a spot, Ed. Who do you think is going to win this one?
Well, James Sharp's shown very, very good pace in qualifying. He had very, very good pace in practice as well. And I'm going to be thinking that he might be able to get the consistency just to get away from the line, maybe defend his position into turn 1. Of course, he's going to be on the outside, so he's going to be under fire from Pete Van Gool.
The engine
you see now as the lights going red.
Yeah. Out we go. So it's a great start by James Sharp. Peter Van Gool there on his home track seems to got an even better launch. And to get down to Tarzan for the first time, I think we will see Peter Van Gool look down the inside for a lead. He takes it at the moment. James Sharp will try and fight it round the outside. James Sharp will try and get the momentum as we look further back in the pack. There was a bit of contact there. So Cullinan into the back.
James Sharp just been pushed out onto the grass. He's lost position.
So James Sharp has lost the position to Daniel Hunt, but all this is allowing Peter Van Gool maybe to get a slight getaway from his competitors as they go through Hunzerberg for the first time. He's gone wide. He's gone wide. Peter Van Gool goes wide. James Sharp takes the lead, and Daniel Hunt up into 2nd place.
Yeah, Daniel Hunt, like I was mentioning earlier, his consistency is starting to play keys. Cold tyres. He was trying to hold it around the outside, but just got forced off wide a little bit there by Van Gool.
Background as well. There's a year 1 car and one of the double clutch cars, I think, there as well. There's Adrian Hendy in the number 33. I just saw the number there from the in the back of the shot. So Adrian Hendy's not had a very good start in this one, facing backwards. Hopefully not too much damage. He's able to carry on, but at the front, it is James Sharp leader. Daniel Hunt, they're looking to get down the inside. The door's been shut, but I think Daniel Hunt may have a run round the outside. It compromised James Sharp, although he will still have the inside line again. The drivers side by side on this first lap. So we say it's a 15-minute race, and James Sharp not squirming around. The tyres are still very cold on these Mazda MX5s. Daniel Hunt's going to have the inside, going down to the hands at box for the first time. I think it'll be Daniel Hunt who takes the lead as they go through the corner.
Yeah, Sharp's going to be trying to hold it around the outside, and he does. Now he gets the inside for this longer corner. He should be able to make it stick, have the cold tyres, and he just manages to get out in front. And that was a very, very good, fair battling between these top two, Sharp and Hunt. Very, very good to watch.
Great racing by these two drivers. I thought James Sharp was maybe lose the lead there to Daniel Hunt, but in fact, if anything, he's managed to pull out a gap to around 4/10 of a second. Wheel on the grass. Dave Chapman, there's another car. Chris Knox slips into the barrier, I think, there on the left-hand side. So Chris Knox potentially into the barrier. We've also got the car of Dave Chapman trying to get down the inside of Peter Van Gool into Tarzan for the second time. So very close between those two drivers, and just about holding on is Peter Van Gool. Although this one may allow Steve Hefford to go past Dave Chapman as well. Hefford on the outside. This will give him the inside line though for the next corner as they break into the hairpin. There's cars off as well in the background. One of those is it's an optical car there, so it's either going to be, it looks like it's Andy Maxwell potentially or Charles Kellyman. So further down the field. So we're going to have a replay on the screen now of the incident that we saw on the first lap. Producer Graham Sester brings it up on the screen now. Unfortunately, I'm not actually seeing the pictures on my replay screen. I'll have a look and see what happened. I think the cars involved though were the double clutch racing car of Cesare Rizzo and the Adrian Hendy Year 1 racing car. I think those were two involved. They were very close together on the grid.
Yeah, you can see the pictures now. Yeah, it was coming together there between, like you were saying, I think it was Andy Rizzo might have been involved in that.
It's compromised the race very much so for Adrian Hendy, the Year 1 driver, but now we are going to have a look back and see what is going on the circuit. It looks like, look at James Sharp in the lead. You've got Daniel Hunt in second, but he was under very close attention there from Peter Van Gool. Chapman is still in fourth. Chapman will on the grass there, and that may allow Steve Hefford an opportunity to get down the inside, which he doesn't need a second one to do. And Chapman's gone very wide. He may lose another place here. Jamie Ayres up into sixth place, the championship leader. He's got attentions behind him from Chris Knox and Kip Stevens, Matthew Emery, and in fact Cesare Rizzo. I don't think it was a car that went round on the first lap. He's actually currently in the top 10. So Cesare Rizzo is in 10th place. As we look at the car of Chris Knox in double clutch racing, he's got Jamie Ayres just ahead of him as they get down into Tarzan for the third time. And the fastest lap that time for Michael Vortman in 11th place, a 1:56.982. Yeah,
for an AM driver as well, that's very, very good to see the AM drivers getting the pace and being able to stay with these top guys. Even though Wortman's been in the wars himself, he's currently, as you can see on the field, he's in the field. There's a few cars off, and Wortman's been profiting from that. I think that's done the order of Rizzo and Emery. A little bit. Emery's dropping down the order massively here, as we see now.
Oh, look, it's Matthew. Yeah, it is Emery, and is it Cesare Rizzo? Yeah, contact between the two there, and that is definitely going to compromise both their races. Rizzo has got away a bit more lightly than Matthew Emery, who ends up in the middle of the track there as they went into the hairpin section. But Matthew Emery dropped down to 27th place, so a big loss of time there. He's just come out in front of the Team Auto Met Knock Hill driver there of Rob Graham.
Yeah, incredibly unfortunate, as we can see now on the screens. Hefford is having to maybe have to defend a little bit more from Chapman here. Chapman's just trying to face his car anywhere he can, trying to compromise Hefford's line, going to the outside, making him have to take a wider line, seeing if he can get a cut back out the exit, getting a very good run now down to this this tight corner up in front. We're going to be able to see if who's going to be the last of the late breakers, or if they're going to just be a bit more stable now. We can see Hefford just get on the brakes late enough, running a little bit wide, however, taking the pressure from Chapman. And Chapman's now going to be hoping for a very, very good run out of this corner, but Chapman himself is under pressure. Is that a race leader?
Yeah, it was side by side going into the corner there, I noticed, between James Sharp and Daniel Hunt. So it would be interesting to see what's happened there as they went through Hans Ernst box. But James Sharp lost a lot of time. Here comes a replay. Thank you very much, Graham. It looks like, yeah, Sharp seemed to lose it on his own. He's hit the wall quite hard as well. These are some momentum. I don't think there'll be too much damage, but I don't think there was any contact there. I think it's just a case of James Sharp getting the foot on the accelerator a bit too quickly and losing control of his car. Fastest lap is our newcomer Dave Chapman at 156.123 in fourth place. James Sharp overshooting as well,
Yeah,
so
suspension damage.
it looks like there is some damage to that car potentially with that clouds against the wall. James Sharp down into 9th place. Michael Vortman, our leading AM, has come past in 8th place. Also another driver visiting the pits is Matthew Emery following that collision that we saw with Cesare Rizzo. So Matthew Emery has gone into the pits, but Daniel Hunt in the lead. Quite a bit of damage to the front of Daniel Hunt's car as well, and on the side. I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing, Ed, but it looks like on that passenger side, that car has taken a bit of damage on both the door and the front corner.
Yeah, there's definite curse the content there. I predicted that James Sharp, our pole sitter, would have been able to convert his pole into a race victory, but just these MX5 tyres just not wanting to work with him as he just ran out wide and had a hefty whack into the wall there. But Daniel Hunt now has inherited the first position, forced the mistake, and is now going to be seeing if he can break away from Gould, Heft and Chapman behind him. A nice 5-6 long train behind him, and hoping that he can get away, have a nice clean race. It's got 7 minutes remaining. Going to be seeing what he can do now as we followed Stuart McAleer out of McCumbee McAleer Racing, hunting down Mick Barry up in front.
Yeah, I was going to say, half the race gone already. There's been so much action in this first 7.5 minutes. They've flown by, but already at the halfway point of this race. So the cars are going to be soon completing lap 4. Some side-by-side action further back. That's Ben Sharp, who started further back, and also Aaron McGregor, another driver who started further back. Sharp looking to go down the inside. That's a good move there by Ben Sharp, although respect given by both drivers. There's no contact there. They're both given the room they needed, and Ben Sharp now up into the top 20.
Yeah, Ben Sharp, one of the drivers for this round who's had to serve a exclusion from qualifying penalty, which meant he was not able to get his usual pace out, and is now trying to make his way through the field. He's up into 20th position, managed to profit from some mistakes up ahead of him. We've seen plenty of incidents in this first opening 8 minutes, and Ben Sharp's going to be hoping now to get closer up the order and be in contention for a reverse grid.
Of course, the reverse grid is something we have to put into consideration, but at the front, the battle still as close and fierce as ever. Peter Van Gool is catching up to Daniel Hunt. Obviously, Peter Van Gool will be getting the slipstream from Daniel Hunt, but that damage that Daniel Hunt has, I think that may be costing him some top-line speed as well. It's quite considerable damage, and as the cars now go through towards the long section here at Shavilak, and they go up towards Masters Bock, it is Hunt and Van Gool first and second. Steve Hefford is third for Momo, Dave Chapman fourth, and Jamie Ayres fifth. So Team Momo, as we say, they are one of the top teams of the championship. Has moved there for third place. Chapman has gone past Steve Hefford. So we have 3 Momo cars in the top 5. But our debutant, Dave Chapman, up at podium. There's contact between Hefford and Chapman. Chapman goes round, and he's going to lose a lot of positions, it looks like. Just get back on track now. We're going to have a replay and see what's happened here between Dave Chapman and Steve Hefford. So this is going on towards bot 10. I don't know, that's one for the stewards to look at, I think. That's a bit of 50-50 there. I think more room could have been given, but also I'm not sure if a gap was there in the first place, but I'll let the stewards decide that one. I'm staying out of that.
I don't think there was quite enough of an overlap, and at this early stage race, they're just trying to get the order sorted for this last moment sprinters. We see Nathan Davis here on the replay, just getting a little bit loose through the long left hand of the very, very tight corner. It's a lot tighter than you'd expect to be, up between lower gear than you'd initially think, just by the way the circuit moves.
Side
now battle for the lead.
Yes, a side-by-side into Tarzan for the 6th time. Daniel Hunt trying to defend from Peter Van Gool, and I do think that damage is affecting Daniel Hunt. Peter Van Gool seems to have a lot more speed on the straight. He's now going to try and get past as they go through towards the hairpin, not quite able to make it on the outside, and he's going to stick on the outside for the hairpin. But that contact between Chapman and Steve Hefford has now allowed the top 2 to get away. So Peter Van Gool doesn't have to be so defensive and worry about what's going on behind him. He can purely focus on trying to get past the car of Daniel Hunt. So round 29 has just under 5 minutes to go, but I think as far as the battle for the lead goes, it's going to be all-out action. I think Peter Van Gool has got more pace than Daniel Hunt in this section of the race. Just is trying to find a way past Daniel Hunt, but Daniel Hunt has already won 6 races this season. He knows how to feel a win in this championship.
Yeah, there are plenty of long, flat-out sections of this track as well, which do benefit the cars behind in a draft battle. It's going to be, have a guess that maybe Van Gool's just trying to be a little bit more cautious, a little bit more careful, trying to work together maybe with Hunt and make sure that gap is at a safer margin, so that for these final 3 minutes of this race, he can go all-out attack. Maybe for this current moment, he's going to be a bit careful. But when we see that clock start to tick closer and closer to that 15-minute mark, the gloves will start coming off. Now you see these two Momo cars trying to have a little bit of a tussle for their positions here.
We've seen in previous rounds there are no team orders at Momo, that's for sure. They battle each other as hard as they battle the rest of the field. Championship leader Jamie Ayres is in 4th place. His teammate Steve Hefford's in front of him. Steve Hefford's in a podium place. Of course, for those of you who are new to the championship, if you finish in the podium, you get credits for the end of the season showdown. And Steve Hefford there going across the gravel, and that could allow the chance for some drivers to get past him. It has. Jamie Ayres has gone past Chris Knox and Crip Stevens as well, but they're side by side again for the lead. Peter Van Gool would try and go around the outside again at Tarzan. He tried this on the previous lap, wasn't quite able to make it, but I think this time he may have a bit more momentum. Will he be able to get the drag on the exit? Not quite. Daniel Hunt keeps the lead, but it's just a case of when rather than if Peter Van Gool gets past, because he's knocking on the door more and more with every lap that goes by.
Yeah, and also if you look on our picture as well, we can see plenty of Momo cars in this top 5, top 6 battle. So it's going to be very, very good if you are a Team Momo driver. You're going to be wanting to try and be a bit more cautious and get these points home. Obviously, it's early days in this championship. Any points you can take now gives you a nice safety buffer from behind in these closing rounds now. Pete Van Gool getting tucked right into the slipstream now, just filling up the rear view mirrors of Daniel Hunt. Just not going for any manoeuvres just yet. Making sure that Hunt feels the pressure, and you can see Hunt's making a few mistakes. His rear's getting a little bit loose, and we might be seeing a mistake possibly from Daniel Hunt just due to this amount of pressure that Pete Van Gool is placing on him.
And also off screen, Chris Knox with double clutch racing. We saw a stunt driving at the end of qualifying. He's been to 3rd place in the race as well now. So Chris Knox liking this Zandvort circuit. Runs a little bit wide there through box 10, but he's gone past the championship leader Jamie Ayres, Steve Hefford as well up into 5th place. Now I'm going to see a replay of how Chris Knox did it on Jamie Ayres. Just going down into Tarzan, took the inside line, brake later, and really that's the cut and shut move there from Chris Knox. Not a lot Jamie Ayres could do about it.
Yeah, very, very committed, very, very clean manoeuvre as well. I don't think Ayres was going to be fighting that too much. He has a championship to think about, and as I've been saying time and time again, this championship, the BSR Pro Series, likes to prioritise rewarding clean and consistent finishing drivers. As long as you finish in the top 10, if you finish that every single race in this championship, odds are you'll be in for a good position come the end of this series. As we've seen now, very, very defensive driving there by Daniel Hunt, closing off the inside, making sure that there's no way that Pete Van Gool is going to get in the inside for Tarzan. Trying to be as late on the brakes as he can, has just managed to shut the door on him. Very, very good defensive driver from Hunt, and that's going to be maybe starting to frustrate Van Gool. I believe they're coming onto the final lap now.
It's going to be touch and go if it's a final lap or not. It's going to be close. This potentially could be the final lap head, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we get an extra one in as well. I think it depends really how fast these drivers manage to get through. Peter Van Gool has not had a win this season. He's had 4 podium places, so if Peter Van Gool can get past Daniel Hunt before the end of this race, it'll be his first win of the season. And Peter Van Gool, though, even if he doesn't get the win, he can be satisfied that he's tried every last opportunity to get past Daniel Hunt. And if Daniel Hunt wins this race, of course, that'll be his 7th win of the season, and he will be the most winningest driver in the 2020 BSR MX5 Pro Cup. But Peter Van Gool really putting the pressure on Daniel Hunt, and I believe that we will be on the final lap now, of course, because looking at the timing now, it is just about to hit 15 minutes, so I think it's pretty safe to say this will be the final lap. Daniel Hunt goes around box 10 for the final time, and Peter Van Gool is running out of time. He's going to snatch that victory. Yeah,
Van Gool's last chance to probably into this section, and maybe the section after he can get a good run through here. You're going to be able to see he's going to be just trying to put off Daniel Hunt in front, seeing if he can get a good run. He's closing a lot more on the brakes, braking very late. Might have compromised his line a little bit through here. However, you can see he's getting very, very close in the draft.
It's going to be I think we better get that photo finish ready, Graham, in the production, because we may very well need it. Because Van Gool, although if he puts his weight on the grass, on the sand like that, potentially not. But Peter Van Gool is going to have slipstream, and also I think he has the car advantage in terms of damage. Daniel Hunt will try and out-drag him to the start-finish line, though, and I think Daniel Hunt will just about hold on to take round 29. He does. Daniel Hunt takes his 7th win of the season. Peter Van Gool in 2nd. Chris Knox in 3rd. Does a little party trick again there. Jamie Ayres finishes in 4th place. with Kip Stevens rounding out your top 5. Michael Wortman, though, 6th overall and our winner in AM. Dave Chapman, our new driver this meeting, finishes 7th. He was as high as 3rd place at one point, but finishes 7th. Steve Pefford is 8th. Joe McDonald is 9th, and our Sekidam driver, and it's one of the McAleers in 10th place. Not able to tell you which one it is currently.
I believe it's Stephen McAleer.
Stephen McAleer. So the IMSA Pilot Challenge driver Stephen McAleer in 10th, with Stuart McAleer finishing 14th. So to the McAleers having good runs in the top 15. Ben Sharp also up into 15th place as well. So a very productive drive there from Ben Sharp, who started further down due to having the penalty of not being able to qualify. His 2 drivers quite close. It's like crossing the line now for 29th and 30th. And I believe those are our final 2 drivers still circulating. That was Andy Maxwell and Steve Hansford, the 2 optical teammates. So very shortly, we'll have our results up on screen. This race went for 9 laps. So as is usually the case in the BSR MX5 Pro Series, the first race is a timed race of 15 minutes, and then we go by laps. So completed 9 laps in the time allocated was Daniel Hunt. He takes victory from Peter Van Gool by just under a 10th and a half. Chris Knox rounds out the podium for Double Clutch Racing with Jamie Ayres in 4th, Kip Stevens in 5th, and Michael Vortman, our amateur, in 6th. Dave Chapman in 7th place, Steve Hefford 8th for Momo, with Joe McDonald 9th and Martin Sampson 10th, and they will take 2nd and 3rd respectively in the AM class. Vincenzo Amico in 11th place with Ralph Cullinan in 12th. Stuart McAleer is 13th with Ben Sharp in 14th, and Aaron McGregor rounding out the 15th. Mick Barry is in 16th place. Craig Jones, 17th for Safeguard by Results. Phil Reagan finished for him in the top 20 in 18th place. Within 19th, Steve Cooley for Roninson Sport Academy, and Ryan Main rounding out your top 20. Jason Ritchie is in 21st for Asymmetric, and Yeoman Racing's Adrian Hendy, we saw him having problems on the first lap. He's come back into 22nd place, with Lewis Payne in 23rd. Rob Graham is 24th, and in 25th place is Roger Morton. Alan Toon is in 26th place. Cesare Rizzo, we saw him have issues earlier. Matthew Emery, he is in 27th, with Stephen McAleer in 28th place. In 29th place is Andy Maxwell, with Steve Hansford in 30th. Nathan Davis is 31st, James Sharp 32nd, and Matthew Emery 33rd. Nathan Davis will be eligible for the reverse grid. He's 1 lap down, but drivers who have retirements are James Sharp, Matthew Emery, Jason Wiley for Frantic Racing, along with his teammate Ryan Moles, Graham Slack, another one who didn't make it to the end, along with David Ward and Mikey Key. So it looks like it may have been Mikey Key that was involved in that early collision. Charles Kellyman also a non-finisher. I think that was a double clutch car. We still have the collision with Hendy. I mistakenly said Cesaro Rizzo, so apologies. It looks like it was Mikey Key who had the issues there. And very shortly, we will see the reverse grid draw with Graham Sessford giving the destiny of the drivers for the second race. And we'll see very shortly, of course, who will have the reverse grid pole. The Wheel of Fortune is coming. .30. So for the first race in a while, we're going to have quite a big reverse grid. It's 30th. And for those of you who are new to the BSR MX5 Pro Series, the Wheel of Fortune is one of the more favourite parts of the evening for the drivers, of course. It spices up the racing as well. And the driver who finished in 30th place, who's rewarded with his Hansford. So it's going to be a team optical front row, because you've got Steve Hansford and Andy Maxwell, with Stephen McAleer and Cesare Rizzo on row 2, and Alan Toon and Roger Morton in row 3. And automatically, Stephen McAleer pops out of that as someone who could potentially take victory. We've seen Stephen win already this season. As we said before, Stephen is a driver in the IMSA Pilot Challenge in real life over in America in the GT4s. So Stephen McAleer, a driver with a lot of real life and sim racing experience, of course, a Macumbi McAleer driver. The McAleer name, one that's been involved in iRacing for a long time. I remember going back 5 or 6 years racing with Sam McAleer, another driver in this championship. So the McAleers have been on iRacing for a while, and the MX5, a car which they seem to get on pretty well. Stephen himself drove one of these global MX5s in America couple of years back as well. So Stephen McAleer has real life knowledge of this car. And what we'll see very shortly here on Year One Racing TV in partnership with Alpha Live is how Stephen and the rest of the drivers get on for race 2, which will be round 30 of the championship. And we'll see you very shortly after a few messages from our sponsors. Good evening and welcome back to Year One Racing TV in partnership with Alpha Live. We're back now for round 30 of 140 in this BSR MX5 Pro Series for 2020. I'm Dan Blake. Alongside me in the commentary box is Edward May. We've also got Graham Sessford produced on the cameras. Ned, in that first race, Daniel Hunt was just able to hold on, takes his 7th win in the season, and that means that he is now the driver with the most wins in the championship. But something that we both noticed through that race was the effect of the slipstream here at Zandvort. It looks like, particularly down the front straight on the start-finish straight, that if you're behind the car, that you're going to really have to defend not to lose your position.
Yeah, there's a lot of areas on this track where you are going to be full on the throttle for a definitely considerable amount of time. That does mean that the cars behind will be gaining on you more and more. The draft ranges, as we always mention, around about 1 and 8/10 of a second. So you don't want to be anywhere having any cars behind you in that range. Otherwise, you will be under threat for these very tight corners. It's a long draft into tight braking zones. However, if you're the car in front, especially through the first corner, Tarzan, if you can just get to the inside, it's very, very difficult to get any cars around the outside of you because of how long these chicane and hairpin sections are.
Yeah, as we say, that first race is very interesting, but one that has brought up is Steve Hansford on pole position. So the driver in the police car livery that we affectionately see most weeks in the championship has got himself on pole position. So we have the police car in the lead, his optical teammate Andy Matside in second, and as we said before, Stephen McAleer also quite close up on the grid as well on this one. And it's going to be really interesting to see how this second race of the evening transpires. As we said, we've got a lot of drivers in positions maybe a bit higher than also people like Ben Sharp, who had a qualifying penalty for the first race, finishes 15th in race 2, and that puts him in 15th place for the second race. And Benny's won this season as well, so if he gets himself in a good position, Ben Sharp could get another one for victory. And there's a lot of drivers up and down the field who'll be thinking maybe this race is their race.
Yeah, Ben Sharp has did a very good fight back from the back of the grid to come up to 15th place. Has managed to profit from some incidents that we saw earlier on in the race where he was able to just keep it clean and keep his head down. He did pick up a little bit of damage here and there as we saw him on the stream occasions. The right-hand side of his car did take a few knocks. However, he wasn't anything serious and was able to come through cleanly into 15th place. He's going to be able to see if he can make up yet another few more places, and hopefully by the end of the race, he's going to be hoping for at least a podium, if not a race victory.
Following round 29, there has been some notable changes in the championship standards. In the Pro Championship, Steve Hefford has moved up to 3rd place. He's leapfrogged James Sharp. Dan Hunt, the winner from race 1, still stays 5th. But in that AM Championship, Ed said before about how close the AM Championship was. We now have Craig Jones leading the AM Championship by a mere 6 points from Andy Maxwell. Mick Barry is in 3rd, and the gap between the top 3 in the AM Championship is just 20 points. So for these AM drivers, every place really does matter. Of course, Craig Jones and Andy Maxwell, 6 points is really, in the grand scheme of things, absolutely nothing. And we know we're talking about a championship. It's a very, very long championship, not really sort of at the stage where we can really determine what the championship is going to be. Of course, we on round 30 of 140, so there's still 110 races of action waiting for us. But the AM Championship proving intriguing and very close.
Yeah, the AM Championship always, as we always mention, is very, very close and provides very great racing because there's so much on the line for these drivers now. As you see the police car in the shot just patrolling around, and I think from the beginning of the race, we're going to be seeing a police escort for these cars around this Zandvort circuit. Going to be seeing if any of these guys will be clean with this car out and about enforcing the rules of the road.
Whoop, whoop, it's the sound of the police. I have to get that one in. So the session practice for round 30 of the championship will be starting very shortly. Alan Toon now having a little spin into bot 10. Alan Toon, one of the drivers in the championship, who really is he's come on leaps and bounds over the course of the past 6 months or so. Alan, I remember when he first started on iRacing, and he's really going on leaps and bounds. To say not the youngest of drivers, but still proving that he can be competitive in the AM Championship.
And I think we are getting some confirmation now from the session organizer that they're getting ready to advance the session. They're not going to be doing it quite yet, but They're checking everyone, and I believe they're going to be advancing the session very, very shortly. So we should be seeing these cars lining up on the grid.
Yeah, can't wait for this one. Round 30, and Andy Maxwell 6 points behind Craig Jones. And Andy Maxwell, I think he'll take a position that is 6 points ahead of Craig Jones. We want to get as many points as possible, though. But Andy Maxwell, to have the lead at the 30 race mark in the championship will be something you'd be hoping to do. As all these drivers will be looking to gain positions in the championship. As you see, the grid coming up now is Steve Hansford and Andy Maxwell for Team Optical on the front row. Stephen McAleer and Cesare Rizzo third and fourth. We've got Alan Toon, Roger Morton, Rob Graham, Lewis Payne, Adrian Hendy, and James Ritchie round out in top 10. Ryan Main 11th with Steve Cooley in 12th place. 13th, unlucky for some, but the driver who is in 13th place for today's race is Phil Reagan. I'd be hoping it's more lucky for him. Craig Jones is 14th, and Mick Barry 15th. Aaron McGregor is 16th. Ben Sharp 17th with Stuart McAleer in 18th. Ralph Cullinan and Vincenzo Amica 19th and 20th. Martin Sampson 21st. Joe McDonald 22nd. Steve Hefford and Dave Chapman 23rd and 24th. In 25th place is Michael Vortman, Kip Stevens 26th, with Jamie Ayres 27th, Chris Knox 28th, Peter Van Gool 29th, Daniel Hunt runs out the top 30, Nathan Davis 31st, James Sharp 32nd, Matthew Emery 33rd, Jason Wiley 34th, Ryan Miles 35th, and Graham Slack in 36th. 37th is David Ward, 38th Mikey Key, and 39th is Charles Kellyman. There's a couple of drivers who will be starting this race from the pit lane as well. They've had penalties carried over from Sonoma, but the lights are on now, and the police car is about to start his police escort. Not a very good start, though. He's bogged down tremendously, and what that's allowed is Andy Maxwell, his teammate, to get away. There's some contact behind on the start-finish straight. That looks like a big accident in the background, although let's see what's happened there. There's a lot of drivers who have lost time. One of those is Jamie Ayres, the championship leader. Jamie Ayres has not even made the start line. Dramatic stuff here at Zandvort. That car may have a meat, but it's absolutely battered the Momo car. But out the front, it is Andy Maxwell leading, Cesare Rizzo second, and Steve Hansford, although he didn't get the best of starts, he currently is in third place, but that's second! Cesare Rizzo hard into the wall! He's made a mistake, the double clutch racing driver. Hopefully no one will hit him. It's Nathan Davis in the background as well going off, I saw there. Nathan Davis has had an accident as well in the hairpin. So, in this second race, we are seeing a lot of action. The first race was quite quiet by BSR standards, and we are back to normal service resuming and full action in race 2.
Oh, as we see, I think that was is that Chapman just having an off there, and I think that's Alan Toon off the road as well.
Yeah. Mick Barry, that is, then the 675.
Ahead of that, just before that, I think we saw Chapman, one of the newcomers to the series, just running a little bit wide and going off into the gravel trap. So it's all been go. They've even had an incident before we started the race. It seemed before they even got to turn 1, there was already incidents, and this reverse grid, 30 reverse, has provided some absolute fireworks for us to spectate here. As you see, Maxwell has managed to profit from this, and the AM driver is currently the overall leader of this race.
Time to get our breath back a little bit, I think. That first half a lap, certainly enthralling stuff. But Andy Maxwell, as you say, Ed, is the man who is in the lead. We've got Rob Graham in second place, Steve Hansford third there, all AMs. The first one of our pro drivers in fourth place is James Ritchie, then Adrian Hendy's fifth, and Vincenzo Amico in sixth place. So Amico, who has taken victory this season already, so one of our race winners from the season, up in sixth place. And Steve Hansford looks like he's holding up the rest of the field a little bit, but in the meantime, Andy Maxwell and Rob Graham are trying to get away. Steve Hansford will carry third place, it looks like, as they go into Tarzan for the second time. And the battle for fourth place, very close. Adrian Hendy going around the outside. Jason Ritchie not quite able to make it work, but he's going to have to try and make sure he clears the car of Vincenzo Amico on his inside. That's going to be very close between these four. Steve Hansford has a bit of contact from behind from the car of Ritchie, a bit of a vehicular assault on the police there as they go round the hairpin for the second time.
Amico and Hendy are still too wide, but I think Hendy's just managed to get the better of Amico there. As you see now, Amico's slotting in behind and taking it easy, but we can see just ahead that McRitchie has managed to get them moved on Hansford. I don't think Hansford was quite expecting to have a car go down his inside there, but managed to be very respectful and not squeezing just too much there. As you see now, Hansford getting under pressure even more from Adrian Hendy now, who's going to be getting the inside for this corner here. Is he going to be late enough on the brakes to make it stick? We get to see him very, very... Just a little bit of a squeeze between two drivers, but that's well within his right to do. The police car making sure is asserting his authority on this race, and you can just see that Hendy's just trying to find any way he can to get past.
Yeah, he's providing a roadblock there for the rest of the drivers. As Steve Hansford in the police car has got Hendy and Amico just behind him. Although Hansford's got a bad run, and this is going to allow Adrian Hendy and the Year 1 racing car to pull alongside him. He pulls alongside pulls alongside Steve Hansford as they go breaking into boxed, and Adrian Hendy is overtaking the police car at speed, but he's taken 4th place. So Hendy up into 4th place, with Hansford in 5th. And we're going to very shortly see some replays from what happened at the start. It'll be interesting to see, especially what happened to Jamie Ayres. Looks like when Steve Cooley didn't get off the line. So Steve Cooley in the 87 car looks like stalled on the grid, which caused some problems further back. I think that's probably where the pinch point was, with the stolen car of Steve Cooley. Jamie Ayres involved in that one as well, Matthew Emery. I think that the focus is going to be on Steve Cooley. I think you'll see that maybe a couple of cars were into him. He stalled on the grid, and Steve Cooley he was sort of in the middle of the grid, as you see there, looking on. Yeah, we're looking on. Oh yes, it was Jamie Ayres colliding with another Momo car. It looked like there. I think it might have been Kate Stevens. He's changing his liveries as he likes to do. But as you see the replay there.
Yeah. They were all trying to get out of the way of the car. Just didn't seem to get away from the grid. There might have been a technical issue there that we saw there, but it's very, very unfortunate from what we saw there. Steve Cooley maybe having a slight issue with his pedals, not being able to get away off the line, and the car's trying to avoid him. Ended up avoiding the stricken cars in the centre of the track.
Oh, James Sharp tried to carry on, but has a blown engine. So James Sharp had a retirement from race 1. He's going to have the same from race 2. So the driver who started this meeting 3rd in the championship, having a dreadful start to the first 2 races. Also, that's Peter Van Gool into the wall as well, hard across the track. So Peter Van Gool, he got struck by Michael Vortman. So Michael Vortman.
Was it Vortman?
So Michael Vortman went into Peter Van Gool. Peter Van Gool had the glory of race 1, finishing in 2nd place. Now he's had problems in race 2. Jamie Ayres also in the pits as well. So although it's earlier in the season, it won't be huge ramifications for the championship, but not the start of the it's a bit of contact further back there as well, like between Hefford and Sharp. That's all Hefford squirming around. No positions lost there, but there's been some really big moments going on in this race, and it really has been an interesting one. Then Andy Maxwell leads up to 2nd place here now is James McRitchie, and James McRitchie has got quite a gap from Rob Graham's in 3rd, the AM driver. The nearest pro driver is Adrian Hendy in 4th. We're going side by side, potentially here into Tarzan, between Steve Hansford and Joe McDonald. Joe McDonald in the safeguard by result car. As you see, Ben Sharp and Steve Hefford in close battle with Chris Knox in there as well. That could be a rather interesting battle. These 3 drivers. See Ben Sharp there having to lift out the throttle there to avoid going into the back of Hefford.
Yeah, we can see that there's been plenty of places gained as well in this race. One of the largest movers is Vincenzo Amico, who's managed to gain 15 places and is up into P5. He's going to be trying to hunt down. As we mentioned earlier, he's already won a race prior to this one, and we're going to be seeing if he can get another one added to his tally. But at the moment, it's looking like it could be McRitchie, who's putting the pressure a lot on Maxwell up in front. You can see the interval on the screens there, and getting the full view of all of the positions gained here. We've got Ward, who's managed to make 21 places, which I believe is the biggest mover in this field, managing to profit from the reverse grid and the carnage as a result. And
David Ward
kept his nose very, very clean here. As you see now, Andy Maxwell's getting his rearview mirrors filled with James McRitchie here. McRitchie keeping a much tighter line. His lines are a little bit cleaner, and as a result, you can see him getting a good line. Going to be on the outside into here, but as we can see, if he can get late enough on the brakes to keep his nose in, he could be able to get the inside for this next corner. We're going to be seeing here James McRitchie getting late enough on the brakes, but as a result, his line has been compromised, and he won't be able to get past Maxwell until this next braking zone.
But some more changes behind these 3 cars for the lead as well. Vincenzo Amico up into 4th place, Ralph Cullen in 5th, and Adrian Hendy down to 6th. But James McRitchie, also a race winner in the championship as well. He has 1 win in the championship so far. So James McRitchie is not far behind Andy Maxwell. The gap going down to get down the straight in the slipstream, reducing all the time as we now look at Chris Knox in 9th place. That's the 4 wheels on the grass there. Car working very loose, did well to hold on to it. And Chris Knox rounding out your top 10. He's in 9th place. Joe McDonald in 10th place. With down the inside, Vincenzo Amico having to defend from the result car. Ralph Cullen, and contact between the 2 going through Tarzan. but I don't think that the contact has caused Amico too much of an issue, and both drivers will carry on as per normal.
And the fastest lap has gone to Chapman here. He had you saw him have an incident in the opening lap here, but he's managed to make it do. He's currently got the fastest lap of the race, so he's going on a massive charge now. He's already made, I think, 8 positions from his previous starting grid, and he's going to be seeing if he can get back up and get a top 10 finish. It'll be very, very good if he can do that. He's got plenty of cars to get through, but the gaps aren't that large at the moment, even after all of the chaos we've seen. As we see now, Steve Hefford is just trying to see if there's any way past Cullinan, and as a result as well, we've got Hendy, who's filling up the rearview mirrors of Hefford. So these cars are all in a very long train. We see Hendy having a slight mistake. They're not able to quite take the same amount of curb, and as a result, he's dropped a position to Ben Sharp.
Yeah, Ben Sharp slid down the inside there. Great driving from Ben Sharp. We also saw there Steve Hefford go round the outside of Adrian Hendy. Hendy has lost a couple of positions on this lap, but if he's not careful, Chris Knox will be taking another one off him as well. Adrian Hendy to get back into the game a little bit there. He's lost a couple of places, been a bit ragged for a couple of corners, and Adrian Hendy needs to get his head down and get back into the action, running as high as 4th place at one point. And Steve Hansford, our pole man, down into 14th as well. He's not had the best of starts, but the AM driver is still running in 6th and AM. So Steve Hansford, 14th Dave Rule, is what David Ward behind him as well. As I said earlier, David Ward was the driver who's made up the most places so far in this race, and he could be about to add another one to his list. And just behind them as well is the aforementioned Dave Chapman, who we saw have the moment on lap 1, and James Chapman is going to try and go past the car in front of him and David Ward. But fastest lap for James McRitchie, only to be beaten by Daniel Hunt at 156.2, but away from the camera, McRitchie has got past Andy Maxwell, so James McRitchie now into the lead for the Team Asymmetric.
Yeah, James McRitchie is now going to be seeing if he can get away. He's already gotten out of that magical 1.8 second margin that we like to say is the magic number to be in and out of the draft. Maxwell's starting to get a little bit though, as you can see on the interval, but up in front we've got David Ward, who's been trying to make the moves on, I believe that was Chapman, but further back here we can see James McRitchie has managed to get a commanding lead. He's already up to 2 seconds. We're going to be able to see the move here through the long run into Tarzan. Just getting on the brakes that little bit later, getting the inside line, parking it a little bit on the apex as he's able to do. It's his corner. He's had the inside and been on the brakes later, and that was a very, very clean move. I think we can see that Maxwell wasn't wanting to fight it too much and lose any positions to Graham. However, Rob Graham is getting the move on and is trying to force Maxwell, if not into a mistake, then to get a good run out of one of these corners onto the long straight here. We can see Graham getting a very, very tight line into the corner, and I think this could be a good enough run to challenge into this next section up here.
Yeah, Rob Graham got a great run out of bot 10, took a tighter line, and he's right behind the car of Andy Maxwell as they get down to Hans Ernst box for the 6th time. We've got 8 laps in this race, so there'll be 2 laps to go at the line, and these 2 fightings allowing James McRitchie to pull away. James McRitchie currently has about a 2.8 second lead at the moment, so these drivers fight. McRitchie will only be his own error that will stop him winning the race. We've got Maxwell 2nd, Rob Graham in 3rd. These 2 drivers are also battling hard for the YAM victory as well. It's worth noting both these drivers are in the YAM class. We see that James McRitchie going very wide in front of them across the grass. I said it was his race to lose, and James McRitchie there making a mistake, but for battle for 2nd place, Maxwell's going to defend the inside going through Tarzan. Rob Graham is going to try and get the long way around on the outside, breaks later, but I think just about holding it on is going to be Andy Maxwell. So Andy Maxwell, he was 6 points behind Craig Jones coming into this race in the YAM Championship. At the moment, looks like he will be retaking the lead in the YAM Championship as that battle around the back end of the top 10 still raging on. As we're on board with Adrian Hendy as they go through the hairpin here, the Hugenholzbolt for the 7th time. And they'll have the run then down towards the Rob Stoftematter Bock and Shavilak. But in front, they're side by side. That's Chris Knox and the car of Ben
Knox
Sharp.
And Sharp, yeah.
Knox and Sharp, very side by side.
So Knox has been able to get past Hendy and is now setting his sights on his year 1 teammate Ben Sharp. But Ben Sharp is definitely a wise old dog in these MX5s and knows his way around him. You can see him still too wide. Sharp's going to be on the outside though, and I can't see him being able to hold it here.
No, Ben Sharp though is able to hold it just about from Adrian Hendy. So we've got 2 of the year 1 racing cars in the top 10, but Ben Sharp, Chris Knox and Ralph Cullinan very close together. They're going to have one more lap after this one to sort out their differences and sort out these positions. Chris Knox's car there, very sideways, loses a bit of momentum, and that's going to allow Ben Sharp to go alongside. Ben Sharp will have the outside line for the first part of the corner here to hands up box, but he'd have the inside for the second line, not quite able to get alongside there. Chris Knox braking very late in a double clutch racing car, although Ben Sharp seems to have a better run, and as they now go through the section of track towards Ari Lyons like Box, which in real life now, of course, is a banked circuit, so it'd be interesting to see how long it is until we get the updated Zandvort on iRacing. Hopefully that's something that will be coming in the future, because that corner certainly changes the profile of the track. But Ben Sharp, the here and now, he's going to try and get past Chris Knox, but the battle from sort of 5th place back, very close, although Chris Knox there went for a lunge on Ralph Cullinan, not able to make it into Tarzan. I think this battle, though, will rage on for the rest of this lap and the race.
Yeah, Ben Sharp is watching this battle up in front, and he's going to be trying to keep it easy, keep it stable and profit. But up in front, we can see that Rob Graham has been able to get past Andy Maxwell, I believe. So that's changed for 2nd place. But that still means overall we have 2 AMs in the top 3, which is definitely a credit to the ability of these amateur drivers. They might not have the same out-and-out pace we see now. There's that Rob Graham going around the outside through Tarzan.
Lovely. That's a
move. You can see he's still too wide though through here, and he's just on the exit of the corner, able to carry that much more speed due to his wider line.
That's a beautiful move by Rob Graham in the Team Automet Knock Hill car. It was decisive, clean, fair. They gave each other room, and that's great racing. That's what we like to see here on a Tuesday night. It's the reason why you are watching. It's the reason why we're covering. Chris Knox there in the background went wide there, I saw, losing out a couple of positions there. Adrian Hendy on his outside, but Chris Knox has lost the position to Ben Sharp. So Ben Sharp up into 6th place. Chris Knox, 7th place for Sharp. It's 8th for Knox, 9th for Hendy. Daniel Hunt has come out of nowhere into 10th place, and as very shortly though, James McRitchie will be coming through to the Ari Lyons box for the final time. He's had a very good race with Ritchie out the front. He avoided the trouble early on, which was further back on the grid. Managed to get past Graham and Maxwell, and the asymmetric driver has just got the Ari Lyons box to go. He successfully negotiates that. He's going to keep the wheels off the grass. That is great stuff. His 2nd win of the season. Around 30 goes to James McRitchie. The asymmetric driver takes the flag. And it's a quite comprehensive victory, but for 2nd place, it's a very close finish there. Rob Graham is in 2nd place, takes it from Andy Maxwell, and Vincenzo and Miko caught them both up as well on the final lap. Very close there for the podium places, but the 2 AM drivers hold off Vincenzo and Miko, with Steve Hefford rounding out your top 5.
Yeah, that we can see on the screen there was incredibly close there. It was a definite sprint finish to our line, trying to get in the draft. You need to have a good run out of that final corner to be 100% safe at the run to the line. Was Roger Morton being under pressure from Stephen McAleer there. So all throughout the field, it's been the same story. This draft has been really impacting the straight line performance of the run to the line here. We're now following Ryan Main, who's coming through the final corner to come home in 27th place. Ryan Main has been in the wars a little bit, has lost 16 places from his original position, but it's still good to see that he's kept the determination to see it through to the end.
Another driver as well who's maybe had a few issues during this race is Alan Toon, but Alan Toon is going to cross the line. Alan Toon is very good at getting through these races and finishing them, and that's half the battle in the BSR MX5 Cup, the Pro Series, is that if you can complete the rounds, if you complete the races, you get points. Even if you finish lower down, you're getting points when those around you are not, who don't finish. People like Jamie Ayres, he's going to have no points in this race. People like James Sharp, drivers who are a lot higher up, Peter Van Gool, for example, they all haven't scored points in this race, but the drivers who finish, even if they're not in the highest positions, they are collecting those points week on and week out, and that's what helps them get further up the championship, in the AM championship as well, where I think in the AMs maybe it's a little bit more important than in the pros to get those results, but I believe we'll have the race results around 30 very shortly, and there they are. So James McRitchie takes victory by 5.3 seconds in the end from Rob Graham, who takes the AM victory for Team Automet Knock Hill, although he was closely pursued by Andy Maxwell for Team Optical. He finishes 2nd in AM. In 4th place is Vincenzo Amico. 5th was Steve Hefford, with Ralph Cullinan in 6th and Ben Sharp in 7th place. Chris Knox 8th, Adrian Hendy 9th, rounding out the top 10 is Daniel Hunt. Joe McDonald is 11th, and he finishes 3rd in AM, ahead of Martin Sampson, who finished 12th. David Ward, fantastic drive through the field. I think he was our highest forever forward winner for the drivers who have gained the most places. He finished 13th, with Dave Chapman just behind him in 14th. Stephen McAleer is in 15th place, with Kip Stevens in 16th. 17th is Steve Hansford, and Mikey Key is in 18th place. And rounding out the top 20 is Charles Kellyman and Roger Morton. Stuart McAleer finishes in 21st place, with Phil Reagan in 22nd, closely followed by Graham Slack. 24th place is Aaron McGregor, with Jason Wiley 25th, and his teammate Ryan Moles behind him in 26th. Not much separating them at the line. And then Ryan Main in 27th place. Alan Toon 28th as well. Alan Toon finishing on the lead lap. And the final car to finish on the lead lap was Mick Barry. Drivers who were one lap down and eligible for our reverse grid draw are Michael Vortman. And drivers who will be classified for this race as retirements are Peter Van Gool, Jamie Ayres, Craig Jones, James Sharp, Lewis Payne, Cesare Rizzo, Steve Cooley, Nathan Davis, and Matthew Emery.
Yeah, really, really disappointed to see Peter Van Gool down there as Martin's non-finisher. He had a great result in the first race, but it just goes to show in this BSR series that everything can change one race at a time, and you need to be on it and keeping your wits about you, because just one incident and that would be points lost. And we've always mentioned it, but to win this championship, you need to be finishing consistently and scoring points every single round.
Simple phrase, really. Points mean prizes. That is what these drivers need to go in with, the mentality of points mean prizes, especially in this championship. And the start there, we saw Steve Cooley, we're having a look now at the replay, Steve Cooley stalling at the start. I think that caused a few problems for drivers sort of halfway down the grid, really. You see cars going left and right. And there was two cars that came together, which caused a problem further down the pack as well. As we see there, Steve Heffer going past. And I think it was the car of Kip Stevens that went in. It was Kip Stevens, I believe, in the 31 car that went into Jamie Ayres and sent him round. So that was the contact there. I think it was also Matthew Emery there as well. Daniel Hunt driving through the middle of it. Now it's crucial for Daniel Hunt. He ended up getting a top 10 finish out of it, but it just shows in his BSR MX5 Pro Series races that right from the moment that light goes out, you need to be fully alert and have your full attention, because things like that can happen on the start. And I think very shortly, speaking of starts, we will get the reverse grid draw out and the Wheel of Fortune for the third race, round 31 of the championship. So the wheel is now spinning. Who will be on pole position? It is 30 again, and I believe that is pretty much a full reverse grid from what I could tell when we saw the results on earlier. So we'll have a look now, and yes, that is a full reverse grid. Michael Vortman, one lap down, is eligible for the reverse grid. So for race 3, Ed, it is a full reverse of all the drivers who finished and were able to take part in the reverse grid.
Yeah, we always like to see the full reverse come up, and we had a full reverse from the previous race, I believe. It was, or if not everything, very close to. But will we have another calamitous incident at the start line? We'll be having a look at that, and we're going to be asking you to stay tuned on Year One Racing TV as we go to a short commercial break.
Good evening and welcome back to Circuit Park Zandvort. We are here for now the third race of the evening, round 31 of the championship. You see myself, Dan Blake, in the commentary box. Got Edwin May alongside me as well, Graham Tessford on the cameras as always. As we saw there in race 2, a very interesting race there as well. The reverse grid bringing up a different result, and we're going to see some more of the similar racing because the Wheel of Fortune brought up 30, which is a full reverse grid. So I think, Ed, for the third race of the evening, we could be in for just as much entertainment.
Yeah, we saw all throughout that second race of the evening that there was good battling from start to finish. There was definite position changes up the front and throughout the grid. Saw good battles a lot in the midfield as well. And I think a lot of this race could be dominated by that midfield battle yet again. This is where we tend to find a lot of the battles for positions in AM as well. And we always know that those guys like to put on a good show for us here. And going to be seeing who's going to come out on top for this race.
The reverse grid has put Michael Vortman on pole position, and we've seen that Michael has been at the AM drivers. He's maybe not the most consistent, as the championship results will show, but when he gets up there, he can mix it with the pros. So with Michael Vortman starting on pole position, I think it's going to be something that will be interesting to see how that one goes, because I think if he can get clear in the first lap or so, that when the pros get through, he's got a bit more pace than the regular AM drivers have. That, as we say, he's taken quite a few victories in the AMs, but not the most consistent. When he gets it right, he gets it right, but when he gets it wrong, he gets it very wrong. So it'd be interesting to see in his third race of the third race of the night, round 31 in the championship, which Michael Vortman we see.
Yeah, I think we could be on track to see the AM driver Michael Vortman maybe take the overall victory here. So we're going to be staying tuned to that, and that'd be a great story to see the AM drivers managing to take the overall pole.
Yeah, it'd be good to see the AM drivers winning overall. It happens, but very, very rarely. So it'd be good to see one of the AM drivers crossing the line first. The pro drivers, of course, though, will be doing all they can to try and stop an AM winning. And as we say, 9 times out of 10, it usually is the pros who come out on top. But we all like an underdog story. So hopefully one of these AM drivers near the front of the grid will be able to take the victory. But we'll see. We've got 8 laps to Circuit Park Zandvort. And as we've seen so far tonight, a lot can happen in 8 laps.
Yeah, and as well, we've seen a lot of clean and fair driving by a lot of the guys out on track, and we're going to be definitely hoping to see that yet again as we're seeing the cars coming around track for this practice session. Starting to get a little bit more of their eyes in on how a race scenario works and how quick each of the guys are around here. Obviously, for the first 2 races, they've been trying to test the limits, trying to see where you can make a move, where you can't make a move, and hopefully for the remainder of this evening, we'll be in the front row for some very, very entertaining and very, very clean racing.
Exactly. There has been some exceptional racing in the first 2 races so far. We see some great moves. I think the one we saw from Rob Graham on Andy Maxwell in the last race around the outside of Tarzan. That's one that sticks out in my memory. We also saw Steve Hefford making some moves, Ben Sharp as well. So we have seen a lot of good overtaking manoeuvres in these first 2 races, and big grids of cars. We have 38, 39 drivers show up for the BSR MX5 Pro Series. So big grids. And also we've got drivers further back, such as championship leader Jamie Ayres, of course, who haven't had the best race in race 2. Same with James Sharp. So that'll be also something to keep an eye on throughout the race, is just how high can the drivers who are usually further up the field but starting at the back go.
Yeah, another one to mention as well is Dave Chapman. I believe will be started from the mid-pack. He's obviously, like we mentioned, new to this series, but has definitely been settling in very, very quickly and has shown very good pace. And I'm going to be expecting to see that his pace will only increase when driving in the BSR series. I know that I found that when I was driving the Mazdas, that round after round I was getting quicker and quicker, and we should be seeing the same story from Dave Chapman here.
Yeah, Dave Chapman, the debutant, has had a good start to his career in the BSR MX5 Pro Series. Qualified well, got caught up in a couple of accidents in the second race, which dropped him down a little bit. I think it was him we saw on the gravel coming out of Chevilac on the first lap. So if he can get clear of that sort of thing in the early stages of the race, I think that he will have a good chance of doing well. As we see now, we have about 30 seconds to go until we usually get the race advancing at about the 10-minute mark in the practice session. So hopefully we'll shortly be getting to the race start.
Yeah, and as you can say, these race starts, they've always been one to look out for. These cars barreling into the first corner, the tight hairpin of Tarzan here, seeing who can get the inside line normally comes out on top. However, like we were saying earlier, we saw that very exciting battle for second place in the previous one, where we managed to see a move successfully made around the outside. And will we be seeing that again in this race? We're going to be keeping tuned for that, as we've seen some people having some issues, I believe, in this practice session. Pete Van Gool's just said in the chat that he's having some issues and he's having to restart his sim. So we might be missing out on him for this first race.
Either that, or what will happen there, as we say, is that we do have this extended practice session. So what the race organizer Mick Barry could decide is that if this happens during the practice session, they can't always extend it and carry on.
Yeah, so we're going to be seeing if we're going to be extending it long enough, but we obviously have a schedule to keep up to. So does the session admin. So we're going to be seeing if we can get back in time. We're just seeing that from the above shot here of Daniel Hunt. Just the amount of speed you can actually take is quite surprising through here. And yet, as I can hear through my headset now, is the admin Michael Barry here, the admin of this session, is just say that they're waiting for one more to come on into the session, and then they'll be ready to start. So we'll be updating you on the state of things and letting you know when we're expecting to go live with the racing.
Yeah, I should say we are going to be going back to racing very shortly, and that's the good thing about having these extended practice sessions, is that if you have a problem during the session you can't get in, it does give you the opportunity to get in. And usually the races do start early, so it's quite rare that we have this occurrence where we have to extend the session. But I think it's done in it's fair. If someone's got a problem, even if it's only one driver, the admins do try and keep us going for a bit longer until that driver can get into the session.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to see that this BSR community is still as strong as I can remember it. Everyone's working together, and I think we can hear that he's back, and we're advancing the session in about 10 seconds or so.
Excellent stuff. So not that much of a delay, and as we say, it's got all the drivers in, which is the main thing here. So as we now look at the overhead view of the circuit part, Zandvort circuit, we'll be getting underway very shortly for round 31, race 3 of the evening. The grid will be coming up very shortly. It's a full reverse of 30 from race 2. So Michael Vortman on pole position with Mick Barry in second. Alan Toon is third, and Brian Main in fourth. Ryan Miles 5th, and Jason Wiley in 6th. Aaron McGregor is 7th, for Graham Slack in 8th. Phil Reagan is in 9th with Stuart McAleer running out top 10. Roger Morton in 11th. Charles Kellyman is in 12th. In 13th place is Mikey Key with Steve Hansford in 14th. Kip Stevens 15th for Stephen McAleer in 16th. Dave Chapman 17th. David Ward 18th. Martin Sampson is 19th with Joe McDonald in 20th. Daniel Hunt is 21st. Adrian Hendy is in 22nd. Chris Knox is 23rd. Ben Sharp 24th. 25th is Ralph Cullen with Steve Heppard in 26th. Vincenzo Miko 27th. Andy Maxwell 28th. Rob Graham 29th. James McRitchie 30th. Peter Van Gool is 31st. Jamie Harris 32nd. Craig Jones 33rd. James Sharp 34th. Lewis Payne 35th. And Cesare Rizzo in 36th. Steve Cooley is 37th. And Nathan Davis 38th. And rounding out the grid is Matthew Emery for round 31, race 3 of the night. We've had our grid. And very shortly, we'll see Michael Vortman. Will he get a good start? Yes, he does. But Mick Barry alongside him seems to get an even better start there. So Mick Barry, we've seen him take an overall podium already in the BSR MX5 Pro Series. He'll be looking maybe to go one better, but Michael Vortman will defend well into Tarzan for the first time. And Michael Vortman takes lead. I said earlier on, I think if Michael Vortman can pull away in the first couple of laps, that he may be striking gold in terms of a race victory in this one. And further back, there's cars all over the place. One hit the wall there, I saw. Not sure who that one is, but we're now looking at David Ward as they all stack up into the hairpin at the first time at Hooksham Van Bolt. 2-3 wide, and I can hear paint being traded and doors being banged, but it looks like everyone has so far got through, and hopefully that's not the curse of the commentator, because as they go through now into Hunterrug and the corner at Rob Shannon, but it's come around, going across the track, and he's been hit. Roger Morton, that is. Big accident. Nathan Davis, Andy Maxwell involved, and we were hoping this wouldn't happen in the race, but there's almost a traffic jam. There must be at least 7 or 8, and I think that might be James Sharp involved again. That would be very cool luck if James Sharp is involved in it. He's had a lot of problems already in the first 2. Oh, he is. James Sharp will be wishing he could go home now, I think, from Zandvort. James Sharp's car is extremely damaged, and yeah, he's going to really struggle to get one back to the pits even. What cruel luck for James Sharp. Tonight just really isn't his night.
Yeah, I think a lot of big names as well for the championship were taken out of that. I think Jamie Ayres might have just been able to get through all of that calamity here, but we can just see on the replay now of Joe McDonald just with his damage and just, designed to peel off into the pits. It's not worth risking it, taking it around and having another incident and taking out yet more cars in the race through trying to bring home a very injured car. And we can see now Joe McDonald here, what exactly happened with this incident. Now we can just see him coming through an area of the track.
Roger Morton, it started ahead and then sort of everyone Constantina's up. I think, to be fair though, further back, a lot of the drivers did slam the brakes on. We have seen previously that some drivers may have not been as quick on the brakes as they should be, but I think in this instance that most drivers did react accordingly, which is great to see. There we see the spin. I saw Steve Hefford going around the outside. James Sharp, and I think Jamie Ayres actually went around the outside. I saw him sneak free there, so we're looking on board with James Sharp. I think most of our championship leaders, though, got through. There's a Momo car in front, which looks like Jamie Ayres. There he goes to the left, and that is a great save there from Jamie Ayres. Go left, great decision. James Sharp wasn't able to make the same decision, and that saw him go into the car of Roger Morton, but it was Roger Morton spinning that's caused all that. Out the front, though, Michael Vortman, as I said, has pulled out a gap now of 2 seconds, but the car behind him is the pro driver of Aaron McGregor. So Vortman leads. McGregor is in second place. Mick Barry third and currently second in AM, and currently fourth place. And rounding out the AM podium as we speak at the moment is Ryan Main for Year 1 Racing Academy. So Ryan Main, fourth overall and is third in the AMs. It's putting Mick Barry under a bit of pressure at the moment, but we're looking at the Renault Simsport Academy driver of Aaron McGregor just ahead of them. And now, as we see Mick Barry go through box 10, Ryan Main not far behind him. And then we have the 2 drivers from the pro class, I think it's Stuart and Stephen McAleer in 5th and 6th place. So the 2 McAleers with Dave Chapman not far behind as well. So that man, Dave Chapman, already up into the top 10.
Yeah, well, it looks like, correct me if I'm wrong, but we could be seeing a new race winner here of either Aaron McGregor or Michael Wortman. I don't believe either of these 2 drivers, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think either of these 2 drivers have won a race yet this season. So if we do, that would be an amazing story from this this race in the Netherlands here.
Well, we'll look for you now and see. Michael Vortman hasn't even had a podium this season, the AM driver, so he has not had even a podium, and Aaron McGregor has had 2 podiums but no wins. So if Vortman or McGregor do take victory, it will be another winner, a first-time winner in the championship. And on that last lap, though, Michael Vortman pulled nearly 4 tenths clear of Aaron McGregor. So the AM driver actually has the pace at the moment on the contact between Ryan Main and Mick Barry. Mick Barry's going to go into the barrier. He's going to lose a couple of places and more cars are going to fly past. So a bit of contact there, but what that's allowed is McAleer and Chapman to catch up to Ryan Main, who's been delayed, and Chapman's going to look down the inside as well. We're going to replay here with Ryan Main, and it's on the accident there between Main and Barry, and to say that'd be another one for the stewards to look at after the race and go through the footage and the various angles they can to see what happened there.
Yeah, definitely. You can see that allowed Stephen McAleer here to get ahead of those 2 Squabblins. And I think just further back, we've seen that Stuart McAleer has been able to get ahead of Ryan Main. You can just see in the rear of the picture there. So the 2 McAleers managed to get ahead of Ryan Main, and now we're going to be trying to seek down the top 2 here. We can see that McGregor's managed to gain a little bit, gained about 4 tenths on Wortman just so far this lap. And McAleer's going to be hoping he can do the same thing for these race leaders here.
Excellent. As you see on the graphics now, we can tell the McAleers apart. It's Stephen in 3rd and Stuart in 4th, for Dave Chapman in 5th, Ryan Main, Phil Reagan, Charles Kellyman, Mikey Key and Kip Stevens rounding out the top 10. But on this lap, I think it's safe to say Aaron McGregor has caught a little bit up here on Michael Vortman, and the car of Stephen McAleer, I think will catch both of them. Stephen McAleer already has taken victories in the BSR MX5 Pro Series this season. So we are about to start lap 4 of 8, and I think Stephen McAleer may be able to catch these drivers. He's not too far behind. The further back, though, all action there is Vincenzo Amico in 15th place. Has Ben Sharp just behind him, and just behind Ben, Jamie Ayres there. Jamie Ayres, a couple of wheels on the sand, the infamous Zandvort sand dunes, and they're catching up to a police car, Steve Hansford. They're both going to go flying past Vincenzo Amico and Ralph Cullinan. They're 3 wide, and Ben Sharp there as well could try and make it 4 wide. Ben Sharp goes past Hansford as well. Hansford is 3 places. Oh, contact there, and that could cause a bit of a... that's contact from Mick Barry. It looks like. So Mick Barry, very unfortunate. He's been involved in one incident, and he was the innocent victim in that one. I think I have to say it was a little bit of a... he was the innocent victim there, really, Mick Barry, unfortunately, but lost a few places. So Vincenzo Amico is in 12th, Cullinan 13th, Ayres 14th, Hansford 15th. Up until that point, that pack had negotiated the start-finish line quite well, and Steve Hansford, though, lost 3 or 4 places.
Yeah, sorry for my awkward ums and ahs there, but you could just see that it was very, very tight. If there was or wasn't going to be an incident, there was just very, very slight car contact. It's more racing incidents than anything else, I believe, but we'll obviously let the stewards have a look at that. There's the smallest amount of contact, but that was enough to send poor Mick Barry there off into the gravel and having to nurse his car back around the grid. As you can see now that Aaron McGregor and Michael Wortman battling for the lead of this race.
Yeah, it was Ralph Cullinan getting into Mick Barry there at Tarzan. We see Aaron McGregor and Michael Wortman, they're very close together, less than the 3/10 as they come down to Hans Ernst Bocht. And Wortman's not had the best of lines through there, and Aaron McGregor, this is all the opportunity he needs. Aaron McGregor will see that the car ahead of him of Michael Wortman is making mistakes, and that's the whole thing McGregor will try and do. If he's not able to get past him, if he can force the car of Wortman into a mistake, that will be another way to try and get into the lead. But he's got Stephen McAleer catching him very quickly, and I think I'd say that McAleer is probably the fastest of the 3 at the moment. The times will come across the screen now. Wortman has done a 57.3. McGregor, Stephen McAleer 55.6. Stephen McAleer is a man on the move, but McGregor down the inside takes the lead for Brendan Sim Sports Academy. Aaron McGregor leads. Michael Wortman second, 3rd place is Stephen McAleer. Great battle going on behind as well between Dave Chapman, Stuart McAleer and Ryan Main. Dave Chapman currently in the lead in that little pack of 3, but we've had a change to the lead. It's Aaron McGregor who now takes that position.
Dave Chapman, one of the names we highlighted at the beginning, one of the newcomers, and he's already making his mark on this BSR series. He's up into 4th place, currently gained 13 positions from his starting grid. Same as Stephen McAleer, who's currently fighting for the lead in this 3-car battle, but back behind is what we're seeing now. 3-car battle for 4th, 5th and 6th place. So we're going to be definitely stuck to choose between these two battling packs, but the entertainment will certainly not be lessened.
Yeah, Phil Reagan's lost a couple of places there as well. I think Jamie Ayres and Ralph Cullinan going past. But this battle that we're looking at on screen now, which is just coming down towards bot 9, as we now see Stephen McAleer on the attack against Michael Wortman as they went through box 10. And I think Stephen McAleer will get the best run. And also try and get into the slipstream of Aaron McGregor. But Stephen McAleer is clear before they even get through to Hans Ernst Bocht. So Stephen McAleer up into 2nd place. Michael Wortman, although he's dropped down to 3rd place, he is currently the leading AM driver. And as we were saying before, you finish top 3 in Pro or top 3 in AM during the season, you get the showdown points, where when we get to the latter stages of the season and we're into the showdown, they give you an advantage. However many showdown points you can gather over the course of the season gets you a better starting point when we start the showdown, which is where all the prizes will be fought for during.
Yeah, but now we can see now that Stephen McAleer is going to be trying to get to the inside. Aaron McGregor is wise to this, however, and is fully covering off. You can see he's basically just kissing the wall there with the right-hand side of the car, making sure there's no way squeezing out to the left to try and prevent Aaron McGregor from getting any line he wants to take. But McAleer's got an amazing cutback there. What a manoeuvre there from Stephen McAleer, going 2 wide now with Aaron McGregor. Coming up now to this right-hander. Are they going to be able to make it through without contact? Just about. But then that's meant that McAleer has not been able to get the move done because he's been on the outside for the long left-hand hairpin and has actually ended up going out onto the grass as a result.
I think you'd have struggled to get a blade of grass there between McGregor and McAleer on the run into Huggensbolt. But now Stephen McAleer, the poor run he's had out of Zandvort has now meant that Michael Vortman is not far behind him. So these two drivers from America, Stephen McAleer and Michael Vortman, who are both racing under the American flag in this series. I think Stephen McAleer actually Scottish, but because he's racing in America, it's showing up as American on the screen. But Stephen McAleer in second place, and he's already caught back up to Aaron McGregor. So I think McAleer's got the pace to try and get past McGregor, but he has just got it's got just over 2 laps to try and make that count.
As we're now throwing at Jamie Ayres, who's managing to make a move maybe on his on Kip Stevens there, but it's going to go around the outside, go the long way around. Kip Stevens not going to be making it easy for him, but you can just see the amount of speed that Jamie Ayres is able to take. Getting forced a little bit wide there, but is managing to make it 3 wide now. Got a better run even than Amico, who was not really under too much pressure. But you can see now that Jamie Ayres, with his superior run, has just gone 2 wide. Slight contact there between Amico and Ayres, but they've not pitched around. They've still kept it safe. Amico's getting a bit wide. Amico's just pitched around. Don't think there was any contact that caused it. But we can definitely have a little look at a replay at some point later in this race. Yeah, that's very unfortunate for Amico. Amico was running up in 7th place and has dropped down to 20th.
So Vincenzo Amico getting himself running, and not the first driver we've seen have a problem there. As we now look at the replay, we're looking at the police car which goes past, but the accident, Vincenzo Amico, he was very close. We saw the battle he was having going through Zandvort box, and there we go. There was no contact, as you can clearly see there. Just lost control of his Mazda MX5, and then he had to wait to find a clear space to go through. Fair play to Amico though. He didn't cause a contact, but what this has meant is he's had to come into the pits. So Vincenzo Amico in trouble, but further up the field, they are side by side for the lead. Onto the grass and Stephen McAleer. But this is fantastic racing between Aaron McGregor and Stephen McAleer. Michael Vortman's there as well, but they keep fighting. Dave Chapman will find himself getting into this battle as well. He is only about 1.5 seconds behind this pack for the lead. And we've seen earlier in the meeting, Dave Chapman has got the pace, and with 1.5 laps to go, things could fall into place with Dave Chapman. It would take an extraordinary, I think, turn of events for that to happen, but if they hold each other up enough, it could allow the opportunity. But Stephen McAleer doesn't want that to happen. He wants to get a lead as soon as possible. Stephen McAleer knows that he has the pace. He showed it earlier in the race. Gets to go down the inside of box 10 of McGregor. No contact there. They're extremely close. The gap to Dave Chapman's going down 10th by 10th, corner by corner, but Stephen McAleer, as he goes down to Hans own box, will try and do the move that we saw Amico do on the previous lap, door banging on the run to the corner. This is very close, MX5 racing. McGregor tries to brake later, and I think McAleer's going to get a slowdown there. They've all held each other up, and Dave Chapman, we said it would take something extraordinary. Dave Chapman now on the back of them. Stephen McAleer, even if he took a slowdown, he's managed to make it work and take the lead as well. So Stephen McAleer leads, Vortman second, McGregor third, Chapman in fourth, Stuart McAleer in fifth. And as we come to start the final lap ahead, it's all action here at Zandvort.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what the stewards make of that, but what we've got at the moment is a 4-way battle for the lead of the race. Dave Chapman's not going to be playing any of these games, trying to slip out of the way into the draft, and is made a little jink to the inside, maybe looking through Tarzan, but it's not. He's going to try and commit to the round the outside. We've already seen this move made once before, but you can just see that Michael Vortman was a little bit too late on the brakes, had to go out wide, and that sort of impacted Dave Chapman's line. However, now you can see Dave Chapman's going to be trying to hold it around the outside to then get the inside. The car's getting very, very close, but Dave Chapman has made the move, and he should be on track for his first podium in BSR on his first race meeting.
Great move there from Dave Chapman, very intelligent driver, and he knew if he held that outside line going through Gerlach Box, it would give him the inside line for Hugenholzbocht, and Dave Chapman looks like he may take a podium on his first meeting in the BSR Pro Series. However, we have half a lap to go. There's a year one racing car there, which is going to be lapped very shortly as these leaders catch it up. And Stephen McAleer in the lead with Michael Vortman in second place and Dave Chapman in third. It looks like a podium place for him at the moment, although he could make that into second place. Vortman very wide there into box 9. The cars come together with door-to-door contact. Nothing major, no damage sustained by other driver. But I think Dave Chapman's not content with third place. He's going to go for second if that's at all possible. And as they go into Hans own box for the final time, Dave Chapman will go side by side with Michael Vortman. There's a little bit of overlap already. Chapman later on the brakes. They're side by side. The year one racing car is very well there to get out of the way. As we now look back at this battle for second place, it could go any way. Stephen McAleer has pulled clear to the tune of nearly 2 seconds. Down the inside goes Chapman. Vortman's going to try and hold it around the outside. And as they go through the Ari line, they box for the final time. Chapman makes it through. Dave Chapman up into second place. Vortman's in third. But will he be able to hang on with the slipstream down the straight? But up front, it's Stephen McAleer to take round 31 from Macumbi McAleer Racing. The IMSA GT4 Challenge driver does it. And speaking of doing it, Dave Chapman takes second. Second place for Chapman on his BSR meeting debut at Zandvort. Great result from him. He's been looking likely all night to get a good result. Michael Vortman rounds out the podium in third and takes the AM victory just ahead of Aaron McGregor. And Stuart McAleer rounds out your top 5.
Yeah, excellent job there by Michael Wortman to secure his first ever podium alongside with David Chapman, who's I think got his first podium on his first race meeting. And I don't believe Stephen McAleer has won a race in this series before either. So that's,
Stephen McAleer has won races. He's not a new winner, but Stephen McAleer getting victory is something that's not a regular winner in the championship. So Stephen McAleer with another victory here in the BSR MX5 Pro Series. We're now looking at Alan Toon. We said before, the gentleman himself, Mr. Toon, consistent again. He's going to bring that car home. Got through all the trouble on that first couple of laps to Alan. And as a result, he's going to bring the car home, it looks like in 28th place, as they see Vincenzo Amico did get back out following the issues he had earlier on. Vincenzo Amico just behind Alan Toon, but won't be able to catch him. And even though Vincenzo Amico had the issue, finishing 29th, you could get a reverse grid of 30 again. We don't know what the reverse grid wheel is going to spin up. So Vincenzo Amico finishes and is eligible for that reverse grid draw. Jason Wiley is going to take the flag in 30th place. You see the Frantic Racing car there, just going through Hans Ernst Bocht for the final time, and he will now take the right-hander at Kumo before going on to the Ari Lions like Bocht. So Jason Wiley for Frantic Racing in 30th place, not probably where he wants to be finishing this race, of course, but Jason Wiley will finish and get points on the board as well. So Jason Wiley will cross the line in 30th position.
Yeah, Jason Wiley and Nelson are very, very unhappy looking Mazda MX5. You can just see the amount of damage on the front has really been impacting his straight line speed, and as a result, he's finished down in 30th, but going for a nice little drift, not obviously making it stick, and adding a little bit more damage to his already quite stricken MX5.
So we have the results coming up very shortly for us for round 31 of the championship. We're going to have a look at a replay as well, I've been informed. We are... I can't actually see what's going on.
Yeah, we've got a replay on the screen now of the big incident on the opening lap of the race. Just going through the front section here, you can just see it was one of the cars up in front. I believe that was the is that the number 7 car?
Roger Morton. It was the 97, I think. I'm not seeing the pictures, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but
that's Roger Morton, who just got a little bit loose coming out. The cold tyres really impacting it. Nothing he could have done, just a racing incident, and a lot of the cars couldn't have seen what was going on. The other cars that weren't able to quite get a view of what was going on piled into him. You can just hear the amount of contact that was going on there. You can hear contact after contact after contact, and that was just incredibly unfortunate. We can just see the onboard shot now from the 97 car, Roger Morton, and that's him, I believe, nursing it back through the field here. But I think now we've had all the cars come to the finish, and we can run you through the finishing order of the race.
Yeah, very shortly, we will have the results on the screen for round 31, race 3 of the evening. It's Stephen McAleer taking victory from Dave Chapman. 2.2 seconds is the margin of victory. Michael Vortman third and takes the AM win. Aaron McGregor is fourth for Stuart McAleer in fifth. Ryan Main is sixth and second AM with Charles Kellyman running out your AM podium at 7th overall. Kip Stevens is 8th. Jamie Ayres up into 9th place. So Jamie Ayres, a fantastic run from him. We saw that he started very near the back of the field following his problems in race 2. But to take a top 10 finish, that's very creditable from Jamie Ayres. Rob Graham is in 10th place. 11th for Steve Hefford with 12th for Cullinan. 13th is Phil Reagan and Steve Hansford in 14th. Peter Van Gould is 15th for James McRitchie in 16th. David Ward is 17th and Mikey Key down in 18th place. And rounding out your top 20 in 19th place, we have the driver. Let's just wait for the screen to change. There we go. Matthew Emery in 19th place, Ryan Moles 20th. Mick Barry had a rather eventful race. He finishes 21st, with Year One Racing's Ben Sharp behind him in 22nd. Cesare Rizzo is in 23rd, with Craig Jones 24th. Nathan Davis 25th, with Steve Cooley in 26th. Lewis Payne is 27th. Alan Toon 28th, Vincenzo Amico 29th, and Jason Wiley running out the top 30. Adrian Hendy is a lap down. He'll be eligible for the reverse grid draw, and the drivers who will be classed as retirements were Roger Morton, who we saw involved in that early race shunt, Chris Knox, Andy Maxwell, Martin Sampson, Graham Slack, James Sharp, very unfortunate in that one, and Joe McDonald in 38th place. It might be another car there, Daniel Hunt as well, getting involved in that. So some of our front runners again getting involved in incidents, but Jamie Ayres did well to avoid it all and finish in the top 10. So very shortly, we will have the reverse grid draw, which will determine the final race of the night, race 4, here in the BSR MX5 2020 Pro Series. So it's another 30 place reverse in this one. So for both our reverse grid draw, all three of the reverse grid draws have been 30. The Wheel of Fortune is favouring very brightly on the 30th. And we said about Vincenzo Amico getting that car back out. I think Vincenzo Amico will be rewarded with a pole position. I think he's on the alongside. He's on the front row alongside Jason Wiley. So Jason Wiley's on pole, Vincenzo Amico second, Alan Toons third, Lewis Payne fourth, and fifth on the grid will be Steve Cooley. And as we say, that'll be the grid for round 32, race 4 of the night. And we'll see what happens in that one very shortly here on Year One Racing TV in partnership with Alpha Live. We will bring you some commercial break, and then we'll be back for the final race of the evening. Good evening and welcome back to Year 1 Racing TV in partnership with Alpha Live. We are here at Circuit Park Zandvort for the 32nd race of the season, our fourth of the night. And once again, Ed, we have a reverse grid of 30. We've seen that happen twice previously tonight. 30 seems to be the magic number.
Yeah, I think in my next trip to the shops, if I'm buying a lottery ticket, I might make sure the number 30 is on there because it seems to be coming up a lot at the moment today, and hopefully 30 might be lucky, or at least 29 might be lucky for one of the cars on the front grid. I think that was Vincenzo Amico, who's starting second from this reverse grid. Had a bit of issues in the previous race, was up into 7th, but slight loss of control of the rear of the car, sent him round out of 20th. Gave him a little bit of extra damage, and he had to pit in, end up coming across the line in 29th. But it just goes to show that you never want to give up when you've got a reverse grid on the table, because you can find yourself in the next race being in prime position for a race win.
Exactly. If you've got a chance of staying in the lead lap or one lap down, you just need to try it because you never know when your luck could be in. And as that was the case there, and as we see, it's darkness approaching as well here on Circuit Park Zandvort. Local time is 20 to 10. So the local time in Zandvort for the sim 20 to 10. So darkness will descend quite quickly, I imagine, on this circuit, which is 4.3 kilometers, 13 corners. And we've had 3 different winners already today. And I think we'll probably see a 4th one as well.
Yeah, there are plenty of, as you see on the aero shots now, you can see a few sort of light poles there that should provide some extra illumination for the track when it gets too dark. However, not all tracks in iRacing seem to be able to do this, so I can't remember if this is one of those tracks or not with a good with the lighting system or not. But we can see that the track's starting to get darker and darker every time. The headlights of these MX5s starting to line up the circuit park with the Zandvort signs all around the circuit. And we should be in for a very entertaining race. This 4th race of the night always seems to provide the most drama and the most excitement, I feel, from on average at least. As we see here, one of the result clothing cars here coming on the run into Tarzan Hidden first turn, one of the most important turns on the circuit, because this is where we see most of the action. I believe this is Ralph Cullinan on our screens now, going to be showing us a lap round in the darkness, just showing the amount of illuminations you get from the headlights here. And then this corner here, you want to really try and carry as much speed as possible through here, but you don't want to carry too much, because if you run wide onto here, you're compromised fully for this long sort of flat out section. There's still corners here, but you want to be flat out through here. This is where we see most of the incidents on the opening lap. Cold tyres, you're having to throw them into these full throttle corners, and the rear can quite easily step out, especially through here as well. This is one of the most technical areas on the track, and we're forever seeing cars running wide into the gravel traps. So you might be seeing that again in this final race, as people are going more and more for a good result, even if they might have been a bit less fortunate in this prior race. They know that they won't be out of the order for a reverse grid. This is the only chance for them to score further points for this race meeting, and we're going to be seeing plenty of exciting action on track.
Yeah, this is our last chance saloon as such, this 4th race, the 4th of the evening, 32nd of the championship. It's going to get the championship positions up as well after that 3rd race and see if there have been any major changes. We knew that championship battle was very close going into tonight, and throughout the course of the night it has been just as close. And the change we've had now in the top 5 of the championship is that Jamie Ayres leads by 137 points to Kip Stevens, but you've also got Steve Hefford now up to 3rd, and Ben Sharp is 4th in the championship for UM Racing, with Reigning Sport Academy's Vincenzo Amico up into 5th place. So that has actually provided quite a bit of change. And in the AMs, Mick Barry has moved up 3 places in that race to take the lead back in the AM Championship. He has a 14-point lead over Andy Maxwell, who's then just 6 points clear of teammate Charles Kellyman for Team Obstacles. So 1st to 4th in the AM Championship, 42 points between them, and those 4 are starting to put a bit of a gap back to Roger Morton, who's in 5th, who's 214 points behind Mick Barry, who leads the championship.
Like we said, anything can happen in this race, and all it takes is for some poor results from the cars in front just to allow the pack to close up that a little bit more for this next race. And we're only round, I believe it's round 8, and there's plenty of rounds to go in this championship. I believe we have a total of 34, 36 rounds in total. And we're going to be seeing plenty of action throughout the remainder of this BSR MX5 Pro Series. However, at the moment, we've got one further race to focus on tonight, and it's shaping up to be a cracker with yet another full reverse grid. We've got at the moment in the practice sheet, we can see that Vincenzo Amico is currently 3rd fastest, and he's going to be one you'd be putting your money on to win, just based on the fact that he's starting from 2nd place on the grid.
Yeah, Steve, we saw Stephen McAleer take victory in round 31, the 3rd race. That was actually his 3rd win of the season. So Stephen McAleer, although he is only currently sitting in 38th place in the championship, Stephen McAleer has got 3 race wins. So impressive there from Stephen McAleer. Dave Chapman as well in that last race. His debut in the season, and then Chris Knox again going at 360. Dave Chapman, as I said, on his first meeting, has had a podium and 2 top 10s. So definitely worth a mention there. But very shortly, we will be going to the grid, and here it is. It's Jason Wiley on pole position from Vincenzo Amico. Alan Toon is 3rd, Lewis Payne 4th. Steve Cooley is 5th, with Nathan Davis in 6th. We saw him have problems in the last race. Craig Jones is 7th, Cesario Rizzo 8th, Ben Sharp 9th, and Mick Barry 10th. Ryan Moles is 11th, with Matthew Emery in 12th place on the grid for this final race of the evening, race 4, round 32 of the championship. In 13th place, it looks like that we have a slight technical issue. We apologise that we're not able to see the rest of the grid. We're going to get racing very shortly, though. So the rest of the positions will be coming up on our screens. We hopefully will see them. And as I say, we are having a few problems, though, with the graphic at the moment. So we're going to go to the race straight away. So Jason Wiley on pole position. Vincenzo Amico 2nd. And let's see who gets the best of these start out of these 2 drivers. As we see further back in the pack, good start being made there by Peter Van Gool, it looks like, and Ralph Cullinan getting away nicely in 20th place. But at the front, Jason Wiley is in the lead, although he's under pressure straight away from Amico. Danny inside he goes. Nathan Davis there, very late on the brakes. Nathan Davis puts himself into 3rd. Contact behind, we hear, but going through Tarzan on the first corner, I think on the whole. That's a big crash further back. It was the green double clutch racing car. I think that was Chris Knox involved in that one. Also Martin Sampson, and then the team Automatic Knock Hill car as well. We also got Stuart McAleer, Rob Graham. So we have got this crash is going on all over the place. Oh, there's a big one in the hairpin. Track blockage, not for the first time this season. There's Daniel Hunt involved. So Daniel Hunt involved. That is the car. Craig Jones on number 43. Steve Hefford as well, number 72 there from the grass as well. And we're going straight to a replay, see what's happened there in the hairpin, because it looks like there has been it's also 2 work guard cars collided, and then it sort of it all stacked up, and at that point on really, Van Gool's round as well, Nathan Davis round, there's a blocked track. The police car again this time does actually stop, but then decides you can sort that out yourself. I'm going. So the police car this time didn't need to make an effort to stop, but it wasn't. It was sort of a passing visit, and he's off again.
Yeah, definitely. I think the police car there, Steve Hefford, I think thinks that's a bit too much paperwork now. So we get yet another replay of the incident here. You can just see a lot of the cars trying to slow down for the incident, but you can just hear the amount of just how suddenly it all comes together. It seems that the cars in front, the cars behind think it'll clear out. It's just a little thing, but everyone just seems to park it just towards the last stage of the hairpin here. We're getting yet another replay here that we're following now Graham Slack here, and you can just see that it seems to be fine from his point of view, just going around. Then all of a sudden, all of the cars have just come to a complete stop.
So Graham Slack there, you see going around the outside, and the track was completely blocked there, and so lots of cars have been affected by that. But at the front, Vincenzo Amico has pulled out a 3.5 second lead. So no problems for Vincenzo Amico. He has the lead. Jason Wiley in 2nd, and Ben Sharp is currently in 3rd place. So we have Amico, Wiley, and Sharp as our top 3. And Sharp's going to start putting pressure on the frantic racing car ahead of him and Wiley. Ben Sharp is a quicker driver than Jason Wiley usually. So Ben Sharp, there you go, he gets a better exit out the hairpin. What a cutback by Ben Sharp, moving him up into 2nd place.
Yeah, he does an amazing cutback by Ben Sharp, and Jason Wiley facilitated that move a little bit. You can see that Jason Wiley, I think, realises that Ben Sharp at this stage of the race is much quicker than himself, and he's going to be trying to dip into the slipstream now with Ben Sharp and just see if he can get his car to get away from the other AMs behind. But obviously, Jason Wiley is an AM, only really needs to focus on the AM battle. He's currently leading, and he wants to be able to get enough gap behind with Mick Barry behind him and Lewis Payne also behind him there. So thinking about the championship, which is very good to see him doing and keeping his discipline. But at the moment, we're following Ryan Chapman, who's hunting down some cars ahead. He's got 3 AM drivers up in front, and we could be seeing he's up 23 places. So he managed to keep himself very sensible out of that incident. He was probably one of the cars that managed to pick his way most sensibly through the one incidents. Yeah, the big car park.
Race 3 winner Stephen McAleer as well, up 22 places as well. He finds himself in 8th place, and just behind him is Mikey Key. But Stephen McAleer and Dave Chapman, reverse grids don't seem to be much to them, because already they've not even completed the second lap, and Chapman's up 23 places, McAleer's up 22. Also cars further down, Daniel Hunt up 22 places in 17th as well. Joe McDonald's gone up 20. There have been some massive gains, but speaking of massive gains, Vincenzo Amico has now got a 4-second lead over Ben Sharp in 2nd place, with Wiley 3rd, who currently leads AM. Let's not forget as well, that's another race within a race that we have in the BSR MX5 Pro Series. So Jason Wiley is currently the leading AM, with Mick Barry 2nd and Lewis Payne rounding out the AM podium. Dave Chapman there with the fastest lap of the race. I saw there him going in purple as we look at Ryan May going through Tarzan. But there's been some extraordinary gains from drivers at the start of the race who just managed to keep out the trouble. So side by side, ahead of Dave Woods, cut off. That's Vortman, and that is also, it was one of the double clutch cars involved, I think, there as well. That is Mikey Key. So contact between Vortman and Key on the run up into Huggenshaus Park. We're going on it now. So Vortman went to go alongside Mikey Key down the inside. I think they're just going to meet in the middle here. Yeah, they are. They both want the same bit of road. And fortunately, both cars are taken out. And as we said a couple of times tonight, that's one for the stewards.
Yeah, I don't think Key anticipated Wortman being where he was and throwing his car in that area. You don't usually expect a manoeuvre from that far back, and it's going to be, like you mentioned, one for the stewards to sort out. But we can see now Ben Sharp slowly gaining on Vincenzo Amico. We saw the gap at the line previously was 4 seconds. Now it's up to 3.8. However, if he is only gaining on this amount of pace, you can see that Vincenzo Amico would most likely be able to come home and win the race. However, Ben Sharp's just trying to get in a good rhythm, make gains without risking it too much, and hoping that Vincenzo Amico will see Ben coming on him, having to push more and see if there's any mistakes coming Amico's way.
Dave Chapman's just made 2 places as well. Just on the run down to Hands-On Box, he's managed to get past both the cars of Jason Wiley and Mick Barry. Mick Barry has since lost places to Lewis Payne, and Ryan Moore was under pressure. We're now going to look back at Dave Chapman making those moves. There he goes past Mick Barry in the work guard car, and he also got past the Frantic Racing car as well. Dave Chapman just seemed to have the better run out of box 10, and as they went into the hands-up box, he just about got past Jason Wiley. So Dave Chapman up another 3 places. I think that's about 26 or 27 places gained now for Dave Chapman. And for the second race in a row, he looks like he will find himself on the podium. He's pulling away from the cars behind, and this really has been an outstanding drive from Dave Chapman. As you say, he is a BSR MX5 Pro Series debutant tonight.
Yeah, and Chapman and Sharp, I think the drivers in 2nd and 3rd could be in contention for being the top scoring drivers from this round of the BSR MX5 Pro Series Championship. So it'll be interesting to figure out at the end of this race who's scored the most points, because like you mentioned earlier, points mean prizes around this one. It doesn't necessarily matter how many race wins you have. It just matters how reliable you're able to finish and how much you're able to keep out of these larger incidents.
Thank you to the guys behind the scenes at the British Sim Racers. I will go back to that because James Ritchie flying off the track there, going through Shavilak. But thank you to the behind the scenes team at the BSR. I can tell you that going into this 4th race, it was actually Dave Chapman who was the top point scorer going into the race with 253 points. Steve Heffer was 2nd, 243, and Michael Vaughan and James Ritchie was third with 242. So Dave Chapman already had the highest amount of points accrued going into race 4, and with the fantastic result he's going to get, it looks like currently in race 4, Dave Chapman on his first night of racing in the British Sim Racers MX5 Pro Series to come out being the top scorer.
Yeah, that's one heck of a way to make your mark on the championship. We can just see now, I think that was the police car was going to be having a move made on him. However, we just cut away to see Alan Toon with the pound seats here to see a battle materialise in front of him. I believe that's Wortman up ahead, trying to see if there's any way by Adrian Henry. And Henry, with the amount of damage he has, not putting up too much of a fight now, but we can see now on the left-hand side of the screen, Ben Sharp has managed to be the fastest man out of everyone else on track, a 56.2, which is a very, very good time at this stage of the race. Going to be seeing if he can make any more gains on Amico with just these laps remaining. Currently on lap 5 of 8. Don't know if he's going to be able to do it, but he's definitely going on a hard charge at the moment.
Ben Sharp, as you say, on a charge, but I don't think he's quite going to catch up because he's gaining 3-4 tenths a lap. But I don't think it's quite going to be enough to catch up to Vincenzo Amico. It's 4 seconds after lap 2. 3 laps later, it's about 3 seconds. So if Ben Sharp is going to try and contend for victory, he is going to need to either get a little bit quicker. Vincenzo Amico will have to make a mistake, I think, for Ben Sharp to be able to catch up. I don't think he's quite going to catch it on raw pace because Amico is driving a sterling job at the moment in that Ronin Simsport Academy run car, which is currently leading the way here in round 32. And a stark comparison to what happened to him in round 31, race 3. We saw him have that mistake, and of course Vincenzo Amico has already won races this season in the MX5 Pro Series. He has 2 wins under his belt already, so it could be a hat-trick for the season. We saw Mick Barry there getting very loose, and that has allowed the driver that was behind him to go past. So Mick Barry losing a place to Stephen McAleer there. So Stephen McAleer up into 7th place, as we now look at Ryan Moles for Frantic Racing. Frantic Racing not having a bad race in this one. They've got drivers in 4th and 5th currently, Ryan Moles in 4th, and Jason, in fact they're 4th, 5th and 6th. Lewis Payne is 4th, Moles 5th, and Wiley 6th. And Frantic Racing are a new team to the BSR MX5 Pro Series this season. The drivers, all 3 of them campaigning in the AM class, not as experienced as some of the drivers around them, but in this 4th race they're proving very well. All 3 cars running there in the top 6.
Yeah, very, very good to see as well. These the Frantic Racing team managing to get a good showing in the AM Championship. Currently got Lewis Payne and Ryan Moles 1st and 2nd to gain, in fact, their 1st, 2nd and I believe 3rd in this current AM stage. So they're getting definite good team points, which is what they might be focusing on at the moment. And hopefully we'll be seeing that these guys will be a force in the AM from this race onwards. You can see now in the rear of the shot there, Stephen McAleer trying to see if there's any way past Jason Wiley, who's was our pole sitter thanks to the reverse grid, but Wiley's not going to be fighting it too much, letting McAleer come through, not risking any heavy contact. You can see the brake lights starting to glow a lot in this night race. Another amazing feature of the night races. We can see how hard these guys are pushing their brakes into these corners.
Yeah, it's a beautiful sight of these brake discs glowing here in race 4. We get that most sweets when we go into the darkness here, and we are well and truly into the darkness. Those headlights being well and truly used in this race. But as you say, at the moment, it is a podium lookout for Frantic Racing in the arms, although Ryan Moles had a little bit of a moment behind Lewis Payne, but able to keep it as it was at the moment. So at the moment, Vincenzo Amico leads by just under 3 seconds. We've got 2 laps to go, and Ben Sharp has got a gap under to about 2.5 seconds nearly, though. But I just don't think Ben Sharp's quite going to catch Amico quick enough. It's going to be tight at the end, but Vincenzo Amico, I think, will just about have enough. It all depends how quickly Ben Sharp can get in that slipstream. As you were saying earlier, Ed, 1.7, 1.8 range is when you get into that slipstream, and Ben Sharp not far away from getting into that, but I think he's probably just left it a little bit too late.
Yeah, what we'll also be imagining is that Amico might be just doing a bit of what I like to call pace management, gap management, just taking the car a little bit early, only driving at about, say, 90% his ability, his pace, just taking it easy on his car, making sure he's not able to do mistakes. As we see now, that's James Sharp, one of the championship contenders here, facing the wrong way and having to try and find a safer way back onto the track there. I don't know what exactly happened there, but it looks like another one of the textbook just lost the controls. We'll see it here. He's having to battle side by side here with the safeguard car. Just a little bit of contact there.
Ooh.
He seemed to have had it made, but then the car just, for some reason, unsettled. I think still, I thought he was fine, got on the throttle, and that just sent him round.
As you can see there is that corner is slightly banked as well, so maybe a combination of the banking and the contact that's caused that. So James Sharp's horror meeting here in Holland carries on, and as I said earlier, James Sharp would want to get out of Holland as soon as possible, but Jamie Ayre side by side with Mick Barry's car squirming, not for the first time in this race, but Jamie Ayre makes it through into 8th place. So Mick Barry is dropping down another place as well. Ralph Cullinan's gone past him. Ralph Cullinan, though, a pro driver, so that is not too important in terms of the AMs. But the AMs, if they can beat pros in the race, they get extra points. So racing a pro in some extent is good for the AMs, but on the whole, I think they do try and stay out of trouble as much as they can and concentrate on that AM championship. But the gap between Amico and Sharp is now down to 1.9 seconds. So Vincenzo Amico and Ben Sharp very close together as we will start the final lap very shortly. Contact there from the car of Lewis Payne against Stephen McAleer. Oh, that's a spin as well for Ryan Moles. Coming out of box 10, it's a mistake from the Frantic Racing driver. So Ryan Moles going out of box 10, power down too quickly, I think, on that one, and it spat him into the barrier. Very unfortunate there for Ryan Moles. We were saying earlier about Frantic Racing having a good display, and Ryan Moles, even if he does finish 13th, probably still be one of his better results of the season. But the last lap board now out for these drivers to get down to 1.7 seconds. Ben Sharp was about 4 tenths faster than Vincenzo Amico, and that's sort of the way it's been, really. 4 tenths here and there for Ben Sharp. Not quite going to be enough, I don't think, but Stephen McAleer has taken 4th place. I think that's probably as high as he will go as well, because the gap to Dave Chapman behind it's 11 seconds, nearly 12 seconds. So Stephen McAleer will take 4th place. I think he'll take that, though, considering where he started the race. Same with Dave Chapman. They both started well down the grid. Stephen McAleer was 30th on the reverse grid, and Dave Chapman would have started 28th. So between the two of them, they've made up nearly 60 places during the course of this race. As we now look again at the Frantic Racing car, Jason Wiley, a little bit of contact from behind from Ralph Cullinan. Cullinan will try and get down the inside, thinks better of it as they go through into the Hogan spot for the final time. And if Jason Wiley can hang on to a top 10 finish, I think he'll be very happy about it. There's a car spinning in the background as well. That is Steve Hefford, I think, who's lost a place as well. So Steve Hefford and James Ritchie also dropping down time and stream as well. I think it was Ritchie maybe who had the rotation. As we see, it was in the background. Yeah, it was James Ritchie. He just put a little bit too much power on, going through the middle of the Hoogenhout spot, as we'll see here. And there we go. It was enough to send him round. So James Ritchie having a moment on the final lap.
Yeah, as you now come now through, I think we can see that Vincenzo Amico is currently leading the way, but Ben Sharp has closed that gap down a bit more. Ben Sharp has, we were broadcasting for the Nürburgring Endurance Championship. Ben Sharp managed to get a podium in the top split race, so he's definitely no slouch in the MX5s, but has just not been able to close down that gap to Vincenzo Amico. Vincenzo Amico managed to get the moves done earlier, as he was trying to do. He capitalised on his good reverse grid position. As he comes now through the final corner, you can see now on your screens, Vincenzo Amico comes to the line and will take the victory in race 4 of this 8th round of the championship.
So round 32 goes to Vincenzo Amico. It's his 3rd win of the season. Ben Sharp got close, but not quite close enough. He finishes in 2nd, with Dave Chapman taking another podium in 3rd place. A great drive from Chapman. And we got also Lewis Payne crossing the line as well. He'll take 5th place overall just about, and takes the AM victory as well. So Lewis Payne is in 5th place on our AM winner. 6th place is Jamie Eyre, 7th Ralph Cullen, 8th place Jason Wiley. So a 1-2 for Frantic in the AMs, with Mick Barry taking 3rd. He was the AM championship leader at one point tonight. Mick Barry in 9th. Joe McDonald takes 10th as well. 4 AMs in the top 10.
Yeah, very, very good show. We love to see the AMs mixing it with the pros. That's why we enjoyed this reverse grid system as well, because it allows the AMs to mix it with the pros and learn from them and get faster themselves. And Lewis Payne has definitely showed that. He's managed to get a very good result in 5th place. I think that's his best finish, and an amazing finish for an AM to be in the top 5 there.
Yeah, we see that sometimes in race 4, where the AM drivers have their time and their moment in the magic. So we got a couple of cars that are still to complete the race, I believe, and then we'll be able to bring you the results. But we look there at our AM winner, Lewis Payne. Very well done there to Lewis, taking AM victory there. And the results are now up on the screen. So Vincenzo Amico takes the victory from Ben Sharp, with Dave Chapman rounding out the podium in 3rd. Stephen McAleer is 4th, with Lewis Payne in 5th. Jamie Ayres is in 6th place. Ralph Cullinan 7th, Jason Wiley 2nd AM and 8th, with 9th Mick Barry. He rounds out your AM podium. Joe McDonald is 4th and AM 10th overall. Then it's David Ward 11th. Martin Sampson is 12th. Steve Hefford 13th. Charles Kellyman is 14th, with Ryan Moles in 15th. Ryan Main finishes 16th. James McRitchie is in 17th place, with Graham Slack 18th. And rounding out the top 20 is Rob Graham and Michael Vortman. Adrian Hendy in 21st place, and Steve Cooney 22nd. Cesare Rizzo 23rd. James Sharp does finish this race in 24th, so James does get a finish in this one. And the cars who finished one lap down and will be eligible for the reverse grid is the Mr. Police car himself, Steve Hansford. Drivers who've retired from this race, there is quite a long list of them. They are Alan Toon, Aaron McGregor, Daniel Hunt, Roger Morton, Andy Maxwell, Mikey Key, Phil Reagan, Kip Stevens, Craig Jones, Matthew Emery, Stuart McAleer, Nathan Davis, Peter Van Gool, and I believe there may be another one as well further down the list as well. That is Chris Knox. So we have had a fair few retirements in that one, nearly 15 retirements. So maybe a bit of action we haven't seen on camera has resulted in 13 cars. There's also, of course, that big pile-up as well going into the hairpin, which affected a lot of drivers. But after having the eighth race week completed, Ed, we have now had 32 rounds of the championship, and Zandvort, we said it probably wouldn't disappoint, and that certainly has been the case.
Yeah, certainly not. Obviously, amazing performances done by Michael Walkman to get his third place in race 3, and David Chapman to get 2 podium places on his first outing in this BSR Pro Series. It's amazing to see, and we're going to be definitely hoping to see Dave Chapman come out yet again. I think he finished as the top scorer of this championship, and he's going to be hoping for more of the same when we come to our next round, round 9.
Yeah, so as you say, we have had 32 rounds of 140 here in the BSR MX5 Pro Series for 2020. As you say, we've had a fantastic meeting here at Zandvort, and we'll be looking forward to the action next week. I'll have a look and see where we'll be.
Lime Rock.
Lime Rock. So that'll be an interesting race if it is at Lime Rock Park. So a very tight and compact course, and I think we'll see quite a bit more action there, and it's supposed to be at a premium. There's a bit more. If you think there wasn't much space here, wait till we get to Lime Rock.
Yeah, definitely. Lime Rock is a very technical track. Lots of elevation change, and you want to be definitely on the throttle. There's a very quite high speed undulating corners there, so it's going to be definitely about the driver ability to keep the car on the island, as we say.
So as we say here, it's been a fantastic night of racing here at Zandvort here on Year One Racing TV in partnership with Alpha Live, and the BSR MX5 Pro Series, although it is one of our main championships that we have here on Year One Racing TV, we still have some more action coming up on the channel this week. As you can see, we have round 2 of the Paramax Racing E-Series from Brands Hatch Indy, which sees the best sim racers going up against pro drivers such as Jason Plato, Chris Knox that we've seen racing here tonight. He'll be involved in that as well. We also have drivers such as Max Coates involved, Dave Newsham, James Collado, names from GT racing, single-seaters, touring cars all come together to try and take on the very best sim racers in a battle of supremacy. Tom Onslow Cole, another name that we saw last week as well, getting stuck in. And that is followed up on Sunday by a very special event which we have for you from Excite Energy, the Excite Energy iRacing NHS charity event. That one gets underway at 6:45 on Sunday. A bit of a different format for that one. We'll on Sunday night, we will inform you more about the proceedings for the evening on that one, but that one's not going to be worth missing. So you need to get in and watch both of these following broadcasts. And then we also, of course, next Monday as well, we have the round 3 of the British F4 iRacing Trophy. That comes from Silverstone National starting at 7:30. So thank you very much for watching tonight here on Year One Racing TV in partnership with Alpha Live. I've been Dan Blake. Alongside me in the commentary box, we've had Ed May with Graham Sesswood on cameras. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow from Brands Hatch Indy for round 2 of the Paramax Racing E-Series. Good night.